American military doesn't accept trans people into their ranks. Just like you, I was upset. Let them die.
Yeah, let's see.
If they want to, let that let him let them die.
What the hell is happening? I got too much going on right now. Is anybody in the chat? Hold on, let me look at the. Let's do this. We might be live. Well, what is up, boys? We here early. Congratulations. You get a little. you get us a little earlier today. What's up?
What's up, Malarkey? Welcome back.
I don't know if Josh has heard the news yet, but old Donald Trump has kind of pushed Netanyahu out of the way. It seems like.
I've been hearing the rumors, but how much of it has actually been confirmed?
Like how much of this is not hearsay? I'm gonna try to dive into it. I'm gonna try to throw a couple anecdote sources, whatever you want to call them, up there on the TV screen, and kind of see how this goes. Before we get into that too heavily, I just had something playing right there for a second, so let's take a look at that before we get going.
The American military doesn't accept trans people into their ranks. Just like you, I was upset. Let them die. If they want to, let they die. But then I thought about it, and it kind of makes sense why, as a military force, you don't want trans people on your ranks, because let's be honest, they have a history of switching sides.
That's pretty good, dude. He's on Kill Tony a lot. I don't know if you watch any of that show. Hold on.
I see the clips.
There we go. Okay. Is that better? I look better now? Yeah. What's up, Malarkey? Get Israel out of American politics. Dude, I think that's what's kind of happening. Is that happening?
I don't want to get my I don't want to get my hopes up too high, because I'm going to be honest. If it's true, I think they're going to kill him.
You think so?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
They did it to JFK.
They did do it to JFK.
But see, that's the thing. So the transgender thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've always I actually, like, at first I felt the same way. It's like, keep the trannies out of the military. But I'm okay with them being in the military as long as they're on the front lines. If you catch my drift.
Yeah,
little David and Bathsheba action.
Let me see if I can help you out with that. Well,
what you got?
Before I pull those up, let me try to dive into that a little bit. The trannies in the military. So I was in the Marine Corps. I got out in 2017. So this was before any of that really started happening. Pete Hicks has said the other day, it might have been yesterday, that all trannies have to get out of the military before June 6th, I think he said. So like a month or so.
Yeah, a little about a month.
So that's happening. But anyway, what I was going to speak on real quick is this idea of Tutu. Myron says he's still cut by Allison's. I don't know if he is, but I know that a $200 billion investment from somebody isn't going to go to waste. You know what I mean? They're not going to make that kind of bet and just let it go.
You think? I wonder. This is one of those things where, because it's like, if Benjamin Netanyahu was assassinated, the world would not be like, oh, we're free. Like, we're free. He would just be replaced by someone either exactly the same, worse, or barely better. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm wondering. I do believe that Trump is on the outs with Netanyahu, but what realistically will come of that?
Let me see if I can find an article we can look at it. What realistically comes about it?
Yeah, we're not involved in Israel because Netanyahu has a good relationship with the president. The fifth column is so much deeper.
Before we get started in that conversation, chat, go ahead and throw it out all you want to. I just want to touch on the trannies in the military real quick. like I said, I got out in 17, so I wasn't there. But when I was there, I was at 1-6. And 1-6 is, we have barracks, and then there's another set of barracks beside that, which is like quads, where living quarters per company, how you're organized. Anyway, the ones beside us were 2-2. There was a unit called 2-2. And this 2-2 unit was the experiment. They ran, so in a battalion, you have 3 companies, and each of these companies were different. So one company was all male, one company was co-ed at 50-50, and one company was all women. And so they took these companies as if they were experiments and tried to play this rollout like, I guess, to see how effectiveness changed depending on how many cross genders there are, co-eds or whatever. But anyway, the experiment panned out, and what happened was, obviously, the company with all the guys in it did like they typically do. That's just how things work. The one with all the women did worse, but the one with all the with 50-50 did even worse than them. And this is because they ended up all getting pregnant intentionally because they didn't want to deploy. And so that's what you have. I mean, they schedule pregnancy around being deployed so they don't have to go to the deployment. This is a known thing in the military. Yeah, so they do all the workup, all the work, get all the funding, everything that comes with it, and then they're like, oh, I'm pregnant like a month before deployment, and so they're non-deployable at that point. And so when you have a 50-50, you're looking at, I don't know, probably 80% of them, if not more, that are then out of the fight. So now you have a 60% unit. And a 60% unit is non-deployable as a unit. And so not only do you have these psychological effects, you have women that just don't go on deployment because they don't want to, because they can get pregnant. I mean, these are just, effects of throwing men and women in the same room, essentially.
It's not even so much a tranny thing. It's like a women shouldn't be in the military type thing.
Yeah, that's more. I mean, once you throw the trannies in there, it even gets more complicated than that. And the tranny thing is, I don't even know how that's even a discussion. But yeah, Pete Hegseth came out and said no more of that. But on that same note, supposedly Mike Walls was like an Israeli informant.
Yeah, he was straight up
like
conspiring with Netanyahu from the very beginning.
See if I can.
Not even recently, like from before Trump was even elected, discussing how basically to Shanghai us into getting into a war in Israel and with Iran.
Why can't I pull this up?
They have a pill for that.
Oh, it's on the wrong thing. Chat. I'm struggling today. We did one earlier. Did a stream earlier today with somebody, and I've never recovered from it. Just spoke with a general who was at Mar-a-Lago crowd. He said AIPAC is getting shut out of the Trump administration. We'll see.
Yeah, doubt.
Confirmed that Walls was trying to undermine Trump by working with Netanyahu, and said he is hopeful that the U.S. will decouple from Mossad and MI6. But I repeat myself. Mossad, MI6, CIA, FBI, they're all the same thing. All of these intelligence agencies are a broad umbrella above everything else. This is another one. Hold on, chat. I gotta something's off, Josh.
Yeah, it's screwed up.
Why is it doing this?
You got to go back to live mode.
Oh gosh, unprofessional. Breaking: President Trump reportedly cut in contact with Benjamin Netanyahu due to arrogance. What? No, Josh, not arrogance.
You know what I bet? I bet this all, well, maybe not started, but I guarantee Trump saw what people were saying about him pushing in Netanyahu's chair.
Oh.
I bet that was one of the first dominoes in this. Now, honestly, like if they didn't have a stranglehold on him, I bet that would have been it.
Yeah.
Like if he was like from Singapore, or Ethiopia, he
You think he
care.
just took it that hard?
Yes. Well, I mean, I think it was many things. Mike Walls. I think Netanyahu is an arrogant asshole. But it was one of those things where he was willing to grit his teeth through the chair pushing in controversy, Chairgate.
Yeah.
But that was definitely one of the first dominoes to get the ball rolling on this failing relationship between Netanyahu and Trump.
Attempts to push him around, causing Trump to feel disrespected and manipulated. No, chat. No. Not Netanyahu. My grandma keeps calling me, sorry. All right, chat, let's see if we can catch up. Get Israel out of American politics. Yes, well. When you have a categorical loyalty, you can only be loyal to one. This is hierarchical. Myron says he's still cucked by the Adelsons. Possibly. I don't know if he's cucked by the Adelsons, but I know the Adelsons have an investment that they want to keep secure. Right? They've made a big bet and they want that bet to pan out.
Yeah, although I don't think the Adelsons necessarily it's more of the network, not specifically the Adelsons. You know what I mean? Sure. It's Ackman, it's the Adelsons, it's the Israeli government, it's the media, it's all these things.
Peter Thiel.
Yeah.
You seen the bottom dropout of Palantir?
The bottom dropout?
Yeah.
Is that an innuendo? Because he's gay?
No. Their stock plummeted, dude.
Palantir.
What'd I say?
No, I'm saying Palantir's. I'm shocked. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Because it was going up.
Yeah.
After Trump got in.
Fell out of it not long ago.
That's
a couple days ago.
crazy.
Anthony Bompkins, welcome, dude. He's on my Twitter a lot. How could they possibly be mad?
Yeah. Who's they? The Jews?
Probably all of them.
Yeah.
Kushner going to advise Trump on the Middle East. Not sure what difference it makes cutting net. No, I don't think so, man. So Kushner's been noticeably absent this administration. Intentionally noticeably absent. And so you could go back to the inauguration and look at seating charts essentially and kind of map that onto what we're seeing today, where you have Barron was sitting right beside him, and then throughout the whole campaign, Trump essentially said, Barron won me this election, right? On some level. Maybe not in those direct words, but then you have Kushner kind of off to the side, and he's been very blanketly non-existent. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I wonder if that's for show. I wonder if it's genuine. I mean, honestly, it's probably genuine. I mean, knowing Trump, not knowing Trump personally, but knowing his character, I do think a level of the kind of stuff we talk about did get back to him. You know what I mean? How could it not?
Yeah.
How could it not? So I understand Kushner being almost like a sacrificial lamb, but is the spirit of Kushner, is the spirit of the Jew, is it completely gone from his cabinet? I would say no, but there does appear to be a growing rift in the Trump, in the Trump administration, which is good for us. Hopefully the momentum keeps up. I really hope that, because then we could, now, you know me, Zeb, on our show, I'm the black pillar here. I'm feeling hopeful. I'm taking a little bit of the white peel.
Congratulations. Welcome.
I'm hoping. Fingers are crossed.
I'm trying to pull something up from Stephen Miller real quick. Like I said, I don't have a ton plan for today. If I need to get something set up to where I can pull up. I guess I could pull up links. Did you see the dude from Poland saying "Goy" from the other countries unite"? No, I didn't, dude.
The consciousness is rising.
Yeah, it doesn't shock me, dude. I mean, this is going to be a global revolution. I know I keep saying the word revolution and uprising, but I think that's inevitably what has to happen. And I think it does have to be on a global level, just because of, I don't know, the internet. We're all connected now. There are no borders to stop anything anymore, right? We used to have I don't know, if you wanted information to go from one place to another, you had to cross into another border, and then you had to go through checkpoints. Now they can just shut you off of the internet, as we've seen with Kanye and his song. The three primary internet providers have just shut him completely off of posting his new song out. Right? It essentially doesn't exist on the internet.
How's that song go?
Nigga, I'm just kidding. Chat.
It's
don't
okay.
get me
It's
in
kind of a
trouble, chat.
banger. I'm not gonna lie. Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli spy and was also behind 9/11.
Yes,
well, he's
Jeremy.
definitely an Israeli spy. Did he? I'm not.
I don't know if he was.
I don't know if he's
9/11.
behind. Netanyahu was. I mean, that's pretty much documented. How do you know? He says. Jeremiah says, "Guess how I know."
That'd be
Tell
good.
us, please.
I'd love to know, dude.
Give us a hand.
So, you know what we could bring up? Have you seen the Project Veritas thing with
No.
Pam Bondi?
I've been hearing the
Let me see if
drama.
can
I haven't
I'm gonna
looked
find
into
that
it
real
too
quick,
deeply.
and then we can pull it up. I might have to go to the other side of the desk. That would be good. No, I don't. I can do it on my phone and
I'll
send it
sing
to
and
me.
dance while you're gone.
Which song are you gonna be singing, Josh?
Hitler.
I mean, it does have a little ring.
I
to
gave
it, man.
my
It does have a
cousin
little ring to
head.
it. Project.
Jeremiah says, he was. I
I'll
hadn't heard that.
dive
Please,
down that rabbit hole if you want to send
fill
it
us
to
in.
us.
Yeah, bro. Cash and Pam are cooked. At least that's what my take is.
Did I play the Kennedy?
Please get rid of Cash and Pam Bondi.
Did I play the Kennedy thing yesterday, dude?
Is it supposed to be Dragon or Dragoon? Is it ever hear of General Royal Dragoon? Probably Dragon. I do not know. I've not heard of that.
Nah, that's a new one for me. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
completely open to
Yeah.
anything, everything. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna play this. Don't play.
So when a client comes to us with an ask to launch an influencer marketing campaign, the process
Stop.
is pretty streamlined. So
Go
what we'll
away.
do is
Far,
we'll get
far
into the
away.
popular page.
Thank you. Ninja, where you at today? You're not here. Fanny Willis Booty, what's up? As a Christian, I support the people of Israel, but not their government.
Why? You got it?
Person with a brain and a beating heart.
All right, let me get you out of the way, Josh, real quick. Get me out of the way, Josh, real quick. So I haven't played this yet. This is Cash Patel. Obviously, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but there's been a kind of an uproar recently where they haven't released the JFK files when they said they were going to release the JFK files multiple times on day one. On day one, we're going to release JFK files. This is Cash Patel. This is Pam Bondi. They keep saying this over and over. On day one, before they are put in the cabinet position, going to release the JFK files. On day, not JFK, sorry, Epstein. On day one, we've gotten virtually nothing other than a photo op.
Well, and I'll say this. Did you confirm? We kind of watched this clip yesterday. Did you
Did we?
confirm whether this was from yesterday?
Did we watch this thing yesterday?
Oh, maybe this is a different one. It's a different clip, but it has to be from the same hearing or whatever. Cash Patel, the job has already taken a toll on him. He does not look good.
He doesn't look good. Did we play this yesterday, chat?
The time is different. If you play it,
Person with a brain and a beating heart.
Yes, sir.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
okay, yeah, we did play this yesterday.
Okay.
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Let me see if I can find
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When you think you'll have it done, Cash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Reid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I guess so.
Person
We
with
played
a
it
brain
yesterday,
and
but
a
I'm trying to
beating
find
heart.
James O'Keefe went kind of undercover like he does, and got a video of Pam Bondi basically saying that they have tens of thousands of videos that the FBI is combing through before they can release anything. Just release them. Who are you trying to? Well, obviously we know the answer. The question is, who are you trying to keep from getting out? What information? And it's not to protect the, not really to protect the victims. I mean, I think that's an excuse they use. Josh, you think so?
I think, yeah, probably. I'll be honest, as you were talking, I was enamored by Jeremiah's last comment.
What do you say?
I'm starting to think he's one of these like, oh, my hand's in your thing. Crazy, like, you know, like Shakespeare was black type people.
Oh.
Because what the hell is that? My ancestor, hallelujah, Dragoon O'Noonan came to North America to end the French-English War. Victoria stole the throne from my family. Fall from grace. You're here. Dragoon. He has a Dragoon O'Noonan equals General Royal Dragoon. Family of beloved eagle, family descendants of Mary, Mother of Jesus, and Julius Caesar, a.k.a. Gladius Dragoon. I feel like this is a troll. Dragoon? If you know everything that's going on, what are you doing here? In our, 6 viewer live stream?
I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I'll look into it.
Maybe.
I'm not going to dismiss anything on like immediately, but yeah,
I think so.
I think so too.
Dragoon Army. Okay, yeah. The Dragoon Army. Summon the Dragoon Army.
We're chilling.
Dragoon Army, save us.
Send me something to react to, chat. Are we gonna? I need to find. Josh,
we got 15
Josh, what are you
people.
talking about tomorrow?
I was going to talk about evolution.
Again?
Well, on my show, it's different.
What'd y'all talk about this morning? I missed it.
It wasn't live. It was all pre-recorded.
Oh, was it?
But we talked about... Oh, okay. So Ken and I debated where the guardrails should be for government intervention. And I was basically saying, like, you know, I would argue we were talking about initially in the context of the South Carolina casino bill that they're working on right now and that Republicans don't want. And Ken, of course, he has this very typical, you know, like I respect the guy, but he has a very basically like big government equals bad type mentality. And so for the government to say you shouldn't gamble, like he basically says there's no positive to gambling, but I don't think the government should have the right to tell you can't gamble.
Hey, shoot me something on Twitter, Anthony. Shoot me something on Twitter. If you can't DM me, then just tag me in a post, and I'll find it. Same thing, Malarkey. Just tag me in a post. It won't let you send it to me. I do have something I'm gonna throw up here in a half a second. Josh, we talked about before we had any kind of viewership on these live streams. Me and Josh talked about the firing squad in South Carolina.
Yeah. Is there a development?
Yeah, there's a development.
Did he live?
Longer than he should have. Let's put it that way. Let me see if I can pull it up.
No way.
Did I put the link? Okay, this thing's getting aggravating. This has to go.
I remember
Don't read it. Don't read it, Josh. Don't read it.
I ain't looking. No peeking.
The problem is I can't pull it up in this stupid thing. Is it going to give me something stupid?
God dang it.
Always. All right, I'll screenshot it. We'll read it real quick. Before we get to that, we're talking about Pam Bondi. This is her.
What?
Whoa, that's huge. That's what she said.
Good day, Nubtoes.
Welcome to the chat, Nubtoes. Good to have you back.
Chat, I'm struggling, dude. Maybe I should have my stuff prepped before we do this. Benny Johnson says, breaking Pam Bondi announces the FBI is diligently going through Epstein files. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn and hundreds of victims. The FBI is diligently going through all that. And 12 Ball said, we know you want to learn more about this sinister role this man played within our global financial system. That will not be happening. But rest assured, the FBI is watching a ton of child porn.
For real.
That's
dude.
exactly, I mean, that's what she's saying. But I mean, my follow-on question is, what are the psychological effects of watching tens of thousands of hours of child porn? Like, are these people we want in our investigatory systems?
Well, and this may sound cruel and insensitive, but the truth is we're not interested in the Epstein files for the sake of the victims. I mean, obviously, we want justice for those people, but we're not trying to go through. We don't want to go through these, thousands of videos of child pornography to find out who these children are, and maybe it would be nice to know if they're dead or not. But really, what people are interested in and what matters is who was on the island participating in these things. Was Tom Hanks there? Are we not getting Polar Express too?
Well, we know we know one of them was Prince Andrew, because that is what.
Is that the one who's married to Meghan Markle?
No, Harry's married to Meghan Markle,
right?
And
Andrew's not the older brother, right? Or is he?
Yeah, Andrew's.
He is the older brother. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so one of his, that's who. What's his name? James O'Keefe got caught on. He caught him on camera, admitting that they knew about Prince Andrew's involvement. Hopefully, I can pull that up here in a second. But that was really interesting. All right, so here we have. This is we covered the South Carolina death penalty guy, where he had to choose between
lethal injection, electric chair, or firing squad.
Right. Oh, and he chose firing squad because it was, quote unquote, the safer of the two.
Right. And I remember he did not pick lethal injection because apparently the last two people that were lethally injected, there was complications. Okay, is that what this is in related?
Kind of.
You're giving me a big old smile here.
There were complications with the lethal injection because of the chemicals. The chair hadn't been used in like a couple decades, and so he was like, "Just give me the firing squad."
Okay.
I'm pretty positive this is the same guy. If not, it's still funny. Whatever his name is, non-American.
I don't think it's the Michael Mahdi sentence. No, I think this is a different person.
All right, irrelevant. Here we go. Sentenced to death for killing police officer in 2004. Will be executed by firing squad April 11th. He picked instead of lethal injection or the electric chair, calling it the lesser of three evils through his lawyer. He shot an officer at least 8 times, burned his body in a shed where he had gotten married a year earlier. He'll be strapped to a chair with a target on his chest while 3 prison staff fire rifles loaded with bullets designed to shatter on impact. His lawyers say his original sentencing lasted just 30 minutes with no one speaking on his behalf. They also say his brain was harmed after spending months in solitary as a teenager, but prosecutors say he's too dangerous and linked him to more killings and prison attacks. Okay. Is this one next?
Yeah, this is a different guy.
Is it a different guy?
Yeah, it is. The guy we talked about was like a white dude. And he was like, he's been in jail since like 2001 until he was shot.
All right. Anyway, so here, this is the update. This is, I believe, yesterday. The bullets missed his heart. South Carolina executed a labeled botched. South Carolina firing squad failed to strike the heart of the convicted cop killer, leaving him conscious for up to 80 seconds in what experts call a botched execution. So they shot him. They didn't want to do, I guess there were problems with the lethal injection. There were problems with the electric chair. I guess the other dude got the firing squad and was successful. This dude got the firing squad and wasn't. South Carolina's really bad at killing criminals, apparently.
Or really good, depending on how you spin it.
Yeah. Oh, you know what we should pull up? I need to pull up that video I sent you yesterday.
Which one?
The prisoners. Don't say you don't know which one it is.
I don't know which one it is.
I don't like people that don't allow me to download their videos. It really irks me.
I wonder if it was intentional.
I'll get to that in a second. I just saw Anthony's tag too. I'll get that in a second. The problem is with Twitter, I can't pull it directly up onto the screen. At least not.
What
from
would
here.
you pick while you're working
Firing
on
squad.
that? You
Easy.
pick firing squad.
Yeah, easy done.
I wonder because it said there were 2 bullet wounds, which means one of the guys either misfired or didn't fire at all. And the 2 missed his heart. 80 seconds though. That's
not.
That's not bad.
It's
And
not
like,
good.
okay. Excruciating pain. Oh, that one. Yeah, that video.
All right, Chad. If you can't read this, it says. What does it say?
Slavery was abolished in 1865, but incarcerated men at Cumin Prison in Arkansas are not paid and required to pick cotton in the field. This video was taken yesterday.
Chat, that's funny. Chat, that's funny. Chat, that's funny. Oh boy.
We it's so fun. I remember on the same show that we talked about the firing squad, we talked about this, how like basically we should have prisoners be doing this kind of stuff, be doing the jobs no one wants to do. They're like, oh, if we deport all the Mexicans, who's going to be the strawberry pickers? All the people we put in jail for being illegal, you know, all basically we need some type of slave force. But it needs to be criminals, not
we got
like
a Kushner
people of a
article.
certain race. Libs lack critical thinking skills. Very true. Gunner says, and they say there wasn't any white culture. I like it, Gunner. I like it.
Megan Kelly clip too. Wish you let me download it. Yeah. All right. So we'll react to this. And then I'll pull.
I would feel like if I were in prison, getting to like go pick cotton wouldn't be the worst thing ever. You
Get
know?
some sunlight. Get out.
They're in the field. They're in nature. Like the guards are on horseback. You know, you get to see some pretty horsies. What's the big deal? You know.
And they said there wasn't any white culture. That's pretty funny. That's right. Well, more like that's exactly right. It doesn't. I mean, the color thing is going to come into play, but they're prisoners, dude. It doesn't matter what color. Go pick the cotton. Go pick the strawberries, man. I mean, I promise you, there's plenty of work to do. If we can deport all these Mexicans, we can put the prisoners to work. Let them work. They'll be more happy than they would be locked up in prison. I guarantee you, dude. I guarantee you, if you go to each prisoner and say, "Hey, would you like to work 8 hours a day instead of be cooped up in your cell?" Like who would say no to that?
Well, and even if they were like, hell no, it's like, well kind of not your call.
Well, instead of the strawberries, you get the coal mines. Congratulations.
That's a good idea.
I know. I got
put them in the
lots of
coal
them.
mines. Oh, I love that.
Oh, let's see.
Here's a ventilator and a pickaxe.
Why is this not coming up?
Also, I mean, I guess it has to be real. Why would people on horseback be watching them? You know what I mean?
Who knows?
But that's the funny thing is like people get so butthurt about anything that resembles like something from the movie 12 Years a Slave that it's like, wow, look at the state of America with all these people picking cotton.
All right, let's see what we got here. Jared Kushner. Mr. Kushner.
Does he still live at 666 Avenue in New York?
Probably.
I'm not making that up, by the way, Chad. He really used to live at 666 something Avenue in New York City.
Yeah, chat. We don't make anything up. Chat.
Except evolution.
If I can ever get this thing figured out, I'm struggling.
Whoa!
Oh,
mama.
Gosh. Get out of here, dude. Why are we being difficult? Let's go to. Let's do this. Let's go to a different screen.
Is this article one
Person
that they
with a
sent you in
brain
the
and a
chat?
beating heart.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think we need to have a meeting sometime and game plan our behind the scenes tomfoolery.
Well, if you would stop working and come work with me,
I'll get right on that.
Chat.
I would like to.
We need money to pay Josh to quit work. All right, where we at? Jared Kushner quietly advises Trump administration ahead of Middle East trip. When was this? May 9th. That's the day.
May 9th. Oh, so he must be going to the Middle East, probably to negotiate with Iran, which I hadn't heard.
Well, Hegseth canceled his Israel trip, so maybe this is a stand-in. I don't know. Let's read a little bit and see what we say. As President Donald Trump prepares for the first major foreign trip to the Middle East of his second term, some administration officials have privately turned to a familiar face for help navigating the region. Jared Kushner. Josh, I can't even see that. Can you see that?
Which line are you on?
The second paragraph.
Second paragraph. The president's son-in-law, who served as chief Middle East negotiator in Trump's first term and built deep relationships with leaders in the region, has been informally advising administration officials on negotiations with Arab leaders. Multiple Trump administration officials and people close to Kushner tell CNN though Kushner is unlikely to join Trump on the trip, he has been heavily involved in discussions with Arab nations, including Saudi Arabia, about signing agreements that would normalize diplomatic relations with Israel, the sources said. The president's top priority next week is to procure economic agreements with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. His 3 stops on the trip would enhance their investments in America, the source said. But Kushner and other Trump advisors have also been privately plotting the more ambitious goal of expanding the Abraham Accords, the treaties negotiated during Trump's first term between several Arab nations and Israel, the sources said.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's good enough. I mean, yeah, quite possibly. I don't necessarily deny that he has a hand in it. I deny that he has an overt hand in it. But this is how they operate, dude. They operate in the shadows. So,
yeah, I mean, Kushner, it's one of those things where it's like he's not big enough or small enough to concern ourselves with. You know what I mean? Like he's not a problem, but out of all the fish to fry.
Yeah, I think that's valid.
Metaphorically speaking, he's not high on the list.
No more. Never mind.
Hard to fry fish with wooden with wooden nets.
You can't keep the grease in with the
with wooden grease traps. What is Jeremiah on about? He's talking.
He's been going though. He's been going.
Talking
Let
about
him go.
dragons.
We'll catch up eventually. We'll jump into the dragoons.
He's writing his own.
Here's what's happening on the right.
Movie.
All right, this is Megyn Kelly sent in by none other than Malarkey. I also want to pair it with this.
W. Malarkey.
This was Rachel Wilson. I haven't even read it yet, so let's take a look at this. We'll read this one first. They can't find a lot of young men who want to marry a working woman now. This is an actual problem that is coming up on the right. And to me, it's so sad because how did we get to this point where we're now telling young, conservative, amazing women that they're not, I don't know, she probably says something retarded. Let me see what she said. I can pull it up right here. 2 seconds, Chad, 2 seconds. Where they're not attractive if they also work. I mean, that's not the argument that's being made, Megan. Men want to get married to have children. Motherhood is a full-time job. Men don't want their children being raised by hourly daycare workers so that mommy can spend all day at her work with her work husband, then complain that her real husband doesn't do enough chores to earn sex. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty accurate. Let's see what old Megyn Kelly actually says here.
Young women, I talk to young conservative women all the time about their lives and their goals and, the things that they want. And what's happening is...
First of all, young conservative women, I mean, I'm putting all of this into quotes. I mean, these words don't mean anything.
They can't find men who are maybe more conservative. Usually they're looking for somebody who is religious, like a lot of conservative women tend to be God loving conservatives. And they can't find a lot of young men who want to marry a working woman now. And this is an actual problem that's coming up on the right. And to me, it's so sad because it's like, how did we get to the point where we're now telling young, conservative, amazing women that they're not attractive if they also work? If they choose to, let's say, do what I'm doing and what you're doing.
It's not that I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper into this afterwards, but it's not that they're not attractive. That's not the issue. The issue isn't not attractive. It's they're attractive, but it comes with all of this excess. And people just don't want to deal with that excess. And we'll get into that, what that excess is.
And get their voice out there. But I'll stick with me just because I think conservatives listening to this will like the thought of another Megyn Kelly voice up and coming. Well, why wouldn't we want that? Why would we take somebody who's talented in this field and really want...
Get from in front of the camera and the mic out of your face.
...to make a difference and have the messaging to her be, you're really not that valuable unless you give it up and go into the home and only have a family and only raise a family. And not only are we sending her that message, but young men are actually believing that. They're actually believing it, especially on the right, because the trad mom has gotten so popular. And it's like, no, if we do that, we're not going to have any strong conservative or right-leaning women to provide a role model for younger conservative women who, and there's nothing to apologize for here, don't necessarily want to spend all their 20s and their 30s getting married and having kids, or can't. They just weren't able to meet somebody and definitely don't need to be shamed over it.
Josh, I'll let you go first.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, clearly it's missing the point department over here. The point is it's not about oh, you're unattractive if you have a job.
Dude, I feel like I got a mustache hair in my nose. Anyway, go ahead. It keeps aggravating me.
Mustache is a little crazy today.
I know.
But also, Megyn Kelly, I love how she uses herself as an example. Yeah,
it's such a bastion to strive for. It's no.
Yeah, well, first off, no one's heard of you since 2016. Only people that kind of care, like commentators and whatnot. But it's clearly that's not what they're saying. What they're saying is there has been this oversaturation in the marketplace of relationships with women who are self-obsessed, and that comes out in the form of their career, women who prioritize their career. And conservative men, not all men, not liberal men, conservative men by nature want a family.
Yes.
And the women in that role doesn't mean they can't have a job, period. It means that being a provider, being a mother, as opposed to being the baby factory that we ship our kids off to a daycare, which cost an arm and a leg to afford. How about let's not afford the daycare, just take care of the kids. Not how about the mother raises the children and the father provides? That's
Josh,
what we're striving for.
We need 2 incomes in the house, Josh. We need 2 incomes in the house.
You kind of don't.
Okay.
You kind of do.
Let me see if I can break this down for you. This all started in the 1920s, right? This rise of feminism that said men can do or women can do what men can do. And so it kind of snowballed, and we eventually got the transgenderism movement. The problem is during World War II, we had an influx of women into the workforce. The influx of women into the workforce led to a greater supply of workers than was needed, than the demand was there. And so wages were drastically going to drop because you have a literal doubling of the workforce essentially overnight. And so what you happen is you have wage stagnation, yet you have still an increase in a cost of living. And so that's why you have to have 2 incomes in the house now, is because wages have stagnated relative to the cost of living, whether that's a house or food or whatever else. And so if we want to get back to that, it necessarily requires removing women from the workforce en masse. It necessarily requires that. Now, do I want a dude watching my child at daycare? Obviously not, but that is the problem, right? The women should be in daycare, but if women were only in the daycare or only nurses, then we wouldn't have the necessity of a 2-income household. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Without the basically what we have in America going on right now is not the problem with the wages, as you said, is the oversaturation of the workforce.
It's a necessary oversaturation of the workforce. I think Joe talked about this one time too, where
Joe Aniello?
Yeah. So in like the 50s and the 60s, we had this influx from World War II where the women went into the factories to produce munitions for the war because they needed it. Now we have, I don't know, the 60s and 70s brought in mass immigration from Hart-Celler Act, which increased the workforce itself too. And so again, wages stagnated because you have the supply and demand. I mean, this is a supply and demand curve. It's simple. Just like it works in the production of things and the cost of things, it works in the same way that, the supply of workers. If you don't have the demand for the thing because there's enough supply, you don't have to pay somebody as much. And so you have a stagnation from women joining the workforce. You have stagnation from immigrants into the workforce. You have stagnation from computers making jobs easier and machines doing more laborious work that, takes away jobs from, I don't know, lower class factory workers that would probably have been middle class given everything else. And so now we're kind of in this area of, I don't know, maybe AI takes it out. I don't know what comes next, but I know that if we want to get back...
Basically, the state of it now is the workforce is a burden on the business. I mean, it's been that way forever since the nature of business. But on top of that, with the lack of cohesiveness and American identity, there's no incentive like Henry Ford. Henry Ford put his employees first before his company. There's no incentive for anyone to do that anymore. Henry Ford also
did something else.
He certainly did.
He wrote a book, dude.
I know.
Chat, what book did Henry Ford write? I wonder if BB's read it. You think BB's read it, dude?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, you have all of this, and it's not a simple scenario to explain. It's not like, oh, this is the problem. It's that all of the problems are connected that create this greater problem, right? I'm not saying no women should work. I'm saying we all have roles. I keep saying this. I say it with regard to race. I say it with regard to intelligence. I say it with regard to, right? Should I have an opportunity in the NBA? Should I get an NBA contract just to see if I can make it? The answer is obviously no. We know I'm not going to make it. And then the same way we know that people that aren't intelligent enough to do engineering work aren't going to make it in engineering. And if they do make it in engineering through some other means, then the bridge is going to collapse. We know this, yet we want to become this egalitarian society that props up everything. And
the Apaches are going to hit planes.
Sure. Intentionally, maybe. Who knows? But in the same way, women are different. They are different than men, and so they have a role to play other than what men's role is. This is why we don't have women bricklayers. They don't want to do the laborious work, right? Women want to do or ought to do more emotional things. Like I said, daycare, nursing, things like this. But the problem comes when you have an influx of them into businesses, right? We have an influx of them into businesses. We can call them office businesses. And then you have to have more, you have to add on departments like HR, which are then staffed by women on top of that because you have sexual harassment. You want to get rid of sexual harassment? Josh, you know how to get rid of sexual harassment in the workplace?
No women in the workforce.
No women in the workforce. See, these are easy solutions, but nobody wants to do them because it carries with it I don't know, women can't do what men can do. I don't know. I mean, everybody understands this to be true, but it sounds bad, and so they say, they deny it. They block it out. Let me build my brick wall of delusion so I can hide here. Chat, where we at? Jeremiah's going. I might catch up one day. I can believe
Look
that.
up
I believe
the
Jesus
Gooner
is
Empire.
God. Huh?
I said you have to follow Jeremiah's messages and look up the Gooner Empire, whatever he's talking about, the Dragooner Empire.
You think we've seen the full damage of DEI yet, or is that still gonna? Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna take time. Even if they outright just got rid of all affirmative action, DEI, HR, everything, it would still take 15 years to figure out what is going on.
The true damage of what they've done won't really be felt for a long time,
because it's not something you can just flip off, right? I mean, a bridge is just an easy example. If you have a DEI bridge builder, I mean, the bridge might not fail for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, but eventually it will. And not saying it wouldn't otherwise, but it definitely will the other way around.
Yes.
Where we at?
Jeremiah, the Hyperion Cantos.
Dude, I hate these things. Let's see.
Watching Zeb's phone live.
I'm going to have to record this. Let me record it. I'll pull it up, and then we can go from there. I got your...
I know. I'm messing with you, Jeremiah.
All right, let's see. Where we at? Jeremiah, Family of the Dragon. Dude. Chat. Anthony said, easiest explanation from Zeb about this. I don't know if it's easiest. It was an explanation.
It was a good one. It was a good one. You were cooking. You were cooking.
A little bit. I feel like I saw that before.
I know Malarkey. Malarkey says there's an easier way to link this stuff to you. I feel like we have Murphy. It's the path of most resistance when it comes to getting stuff on our show.
We'll figure out something over the weekend. Josh, you're not going to be here Wednesday, are you?
I'm not going to be here after today through Wednesday.
Okay. I might go solo.
On Monday? Tuesday? Wednesday? Yeah, we talked about that.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Chat, would y'all be down to do something in the evenings? I'm not going to be able to record that. Let me see. Oh, there you go. I'll figure out how to get Twitter on this stupid thing too. Let me see if I can do it real quick. Hold on. Chat, you might need to give me a second.
Yeah, man. I can't wait for the day when we can that too. But when we can do this full time, because my job currently requires me to be up at 4:30 in the morning. I work in terrestrial radio, and I do not like having a bedtime in the age of 27. Chat's covered up. I can't read chat. Help. But yeah, I wonder. We definitely need to have a pre-show meeting, because literally, when we started this show, when Zeb and I started this, and to this day, we literally I walk in the door, we hit live, and we just go. And normally we can wing an entire show.
Here's what's happening on the right. Young
Megan. Go ahead. But basically, yeah, we gotta get better about that. What time you sleep? I go to bed at around 8. So I do get decent hours, but that's the problem is to get decent hours, I have to go to bed that early. And I'm a wrestler. Josh, what's the best way to share the show and increase viewership other than clipping the gold bits? I was thinking, I don't know what you feel about this, Zeb. I was thinking of putting a QR code link to our channel, like a name of our channel on my chest, and then going and blowing up a school or something. Just a thought I had. I can't imagine going to bed at 8. God darn. Yeah, it's the worst thing ever. And quite literally, I have an inside joke with a couple of friends and my girlfriend about I have to take trazodone to help me sleep. I am medicated and I don't like it. I'm just kidding. I love it. That stuff is so good. I want one right now. No, I'm kidding. Good Lord. This guy, Jeremiah, is talking about Atlantis, a.k.a. Poseidon, a.k.a. Gabriel. This guy needs a trazodone to put him to sleep or something, or to like calm the schizophrenia. I don't know what he is talking about. The pure blood beloved Griffin family. Like what? Family Guy? Like Peter Griffin? Lois Griffin? But yeah, that's so I'm trying to do both what we want to do right now is Zeb and I, we have this show. Like I'm trying to we're both trying to do our own solo shows. Excuse me. And I think that'd be good. Like I already have a solo show on radio, and I think it'd be much more fun to do a podcast where I can like live react to stuff. Kind of like, I mean, you guys saw what Malarkey's saying. You make a good producer, Zeb.
Dude, I need
W Zeb, W Josh, y'all will make it happen for sure. Thank you, Xanthony. You're the best. You're so nice. Xanthony, we love you. And I love that name, by the way. Xanthony Bobkins is hilarious.
I think it's just Anthony. He's got X's on both ends.
I like to think he's talking about Xanthony. Like a Xanax. I love it.
Does that work, Chad?
Intentional or not. So it's coming up on our screen, but it's also blocking us. Can you, like, on our screen,
I
like
need
what we
another
see?
screen. We need another screen on this side. Flaw in the studio build, boys. Flaw in the studio build. All right, let's see here.
Oh, yeah, that was a good crack.
Is it going to play the audio?
That's a good question.
Let's see. Sorry, chat.
We're taking bits now, are we?
Play through. Hold on, chat. That's not. What do we do? I'm struggling here.
Is it gonna play the audio is the question.
Why not?
I don't need my DMs
Press
up.
play and find out.
We're done. White people.
No, it doesn't. It's not playing. Why is it not playing?
It's not playing for them, you mean? Like for the stream?
Yeah, it's not playing for the stream. Chat, what am I even doing, chat?
Help us find an Asian. We need an Asian.
You're tired from fucking what? We're tired.
No, it's not pulling it up. I wonder if I could.
Malarkey,
I wonder
help
what it'll
us.
sound
Help
like
us,
if
Malarkey.
I do this. Hold on.
It should do it automatically. No, don't play through.
Chat,
Tell me if you can hear this.
Black people say, we're tired. From what? You're tired of what? Tired of what? DEI, you're tired of what? Having the standards lowered for you everywhere? Tired of what? People walking around on eggshells not to offend you? Tired of what exactly? What are you tired of? What are you so tired of all the time? We're tired. We white people are tired. We're tired of hearing about it. It's 2025. This is America. Get a fucking job. Dress yourself and then put some fucking shoes on. Stop with the slides, sweatpants. Put some shoes on. Put some pants on. Get a job. Speak English properly. Be respectful. Be considerate. Salute the fucking flag. And shut up. Gosh. I've had enough of it. But no one wants to say this. Everyone's thinking it, but no one wants to say it. Because everyone's afraid. Everyone's afraid. Because they know if you say it in real life, you're going to get shot. And they say, oh, say that to a black person. Why? Because they're going to shoot me? No thanks. Yeah, I'm good. Same reason I don't go into the lion's den in the zoo. I'm not about to get eaten. So they,
I made this point earlier on Twitter. It's like self-preservation is a foreign concept to them. Like say that to my face, and it's like, well, isn't that the point?
Why would I say it to your face?
Isn't that the argument I'm trying to make right now?
You say, oh, you wouldn't say that in real life. Yeah, because you can't handle it. Because you're maniacs, and you admit it. And the other reason people don't want to say it because they don't want to be the bad guy, because it's in poor taste. They don't want to get fired. They don't want to get name called. I don't give a shit. Needs to be said. Enough is enough already. I mean, it is a farce. It's an absolute farce. Look at what we're doing to ourselves. Look at what we're doing to ourselves. This is the United States of America. Hello? This is the United States of America. We landed on the moon. I know it's a little controversial these days. But we invented human flight, jet engines, television, the internet. I mean, do you know what a miracle it is that we have smartphones? We invented that.
His audience.
That's white people that did Apple. That's white people that did Microsoft. It's white people that invented nukes and rockets and jet engines and cars and electric cars, AI. And we are being held hostage by this. We're being held hostage by these people that are killing us. They hate us. If we have a problem with it, we're racist. We're playing this game. Is anybody else done with this? Is anybody else? We get these ignorant people in our face. They hate us. And they're so ignorant and so rude. And they get in our face and say, oh, you're racist. You need to not be racist. And it's like, you know what? Get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, it's not that great audio. Sorry, guys. Again, unprofessional of me.
We apologize. But, I mean, we're all over the place. We're talking about Trump. We're talking about dragons. We're talking about Indiana Jones, women, race. Anything we missed?
Yeah, Chad, anything we missed? Actually needs to get ads off my
cursed jewels
screen. Let me pull this up. I'm going to pull the other one up from what's the name of the little guys? Yes. Oh, it pulls DMs up on the side. I've never done this on desktop. That's neat, I guess.
I gotta see what's going on.
Let's see.
Excuse me. I need a Celsius.
Does that work? That works. Let's go. Well, the audio's not coming through. It was coming through fine on the on my computer over there.
I mean,
I wonder what's the issue.
Just forget about it. Let's
forget
just talk
about it. Yeah, fuck it. We do it live. What's the general screen? What's the screen schedule?
There's the first one for you.
Stream schedules generally 2:30 Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is guaranteed. I'm gonna start trying to do a couple in the evenings, every once in a while, and then I'm gonna try to do. We're gonna try. Me and Josh are gonna try to do a solo show, or Josh is gonna try and do a solo show. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. I'm gonna get a futon. Josh can sleep in the studio, so I can just work him. Act as if he's like a prisoner. Where's my? Give me a whip.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'll make your videos, sir. Whatever you switch to play the video. My eyes hurt now. Oh, that reading tiny stuff.
Let's play this.
Hey, Malarkey, you want an unpaid job?
Want an unpaid job? He's in school, dude.
What's your remote learning?
Podcast switch out. Let's go, dude. We need to find us a couple.
That's a good idea.
Just kidding.
You know how they people will get like call center job or like just basic type of remote jobs and then outsource to like Indians and stuff.
Yeah.
Wonder if we can get some Indians to remote like give them remote maybe not a good idea, but giving them access to the studio.
That's funny. If I click this.
Hitler versus Indiana Jones, LOL. I think that's the plot of Indiana Jones, isn't it? Fighting the Nazis. Jeremiah's going off in the chat.
All systems audio. Let's try this. Let me try to hit this button, see if that fixes something.
Racism is just having...
Boom. All right, I fixed it, boys. We don't need the Asians. We don't need the Asians. I fixed it.
A preference. I prefer not to live around black people. I prefer not to live in a country where white people in our country are disproportionately attacked by black people. Austin Metcalf, where he asked a guy to leave and he gets stabbed in the heart. I don't like what happens to be coming out of this community or that community. How is that a bad thing? How is that not just a preference?
Because you've literally made black people sound lesser humans. You don't want to live around them. You want to use the N word in relation to them, a word that you know causes that community unbelievable offense.
My fault? Is that my fault? If they have bad behavior, if they want to act in a certain way, if I have to cross the street and be afraid that maybe because of the crime statistics that are very real, by the way, is that my fault or is that their fault for having bad behavior?
All right, I'm gonna slow this video down.
If they have bad behavior,
let me slow it down so we can halfway read what's going on.
if they want to act, be afraid way, their fault for having bad behavior.
I hope you die horribly soon. Hope you get hit by a car, and I mean it. Just using my freedom of speech. I hope you get raped to death and die. In front of a group of blacks. They're coming for your white. Oh boy. See, I mean, they're proving. Yeah, I mean, she says over here, black community proving my point. But as soon as you call him out, from somebody like Myron calls him out, he gets called an Uncle Tom. It's like what, like they don't want to fix themselves. They don't want that internal critique.
Anthony Bobkin says Vance changed his last name 3 times: Hamill, Bowman, and now Vance. Suspicious, Zeb? Suspicious?
His brother just ran for a seat in Chicago, I believe, and lost pretty handedly. His brother's last name
it's also Chicago.
His brother's last name's Bowman.
Was that the original?
Yeah.
It was Bowman.
Maybe
then Hamill,
I don't know.
then
Maybe
Vance?
it wasn't. I know his brother's last name is Bowman though. Real Chameleon. She changed her last name.
Malarkey's. What was it? Pull up.
I mean, I don't doubt it, Anthony.
Like he says, my cousin. That sucks. And
cousin
that's the thing.
homie, yeah.
So I don't even think I told you this, but I had a friend who was in the Marines too. He was black.
And before he was in the Marines, he was in a like national rocket competition. Like his school built like those like model rocket
things. And this was in Trump's first term, like super early on, like 2017. He got his team. They didn't win,
but they got invited because they named the rocket Trump. Like they used Trump logo on it. Yeah. And he got invited to the White House. And he was in the Oval Office and everything. And he's black. And I mean, the whole school is black. But he was telling me when he got home, basically like his barber wouldn't cut his hair. Like he had friends that wouldn't talk to him in the black community. And it sucks that it is that way because it's because you think about it, we're kind of asking black and Milwaukee, for example,
we're asking black people to be accountable, but the ones that are like, hey, black people, we need to work on this. They get thrown under the bus by the rest of the community.
This is Thomas Sowell's. This is the Clarence Thomas's. Like, this is a Myron Gaines. I mean, these people are trying to fix the thing that is the issue, yet they don't want to. They don't want to be fixed. And so the question is, what do you do? Like as someone in our position, like, what do you do about that? If they don't want to, if the horse doesn't want to drink the water, what do you do?
Drown it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Maybe that was a terrible analogy, but right. So if they don't want to be fixed, you can't fix them. I mean, you could shove salt down the horse's throat and make him thirsty enough to drink. I mean, what's the parallel to here? Send them to Africa, tell them to fix themselves before they come back?
If you're going to be shoving something down the horse's throat, why not just cut out the middleman and shove water down his throat?
I don't know. He would drown?
I don't know anything about horses.
I think what's it called? Probation. We need to everybody needs to go on probation, and if you can't fix yourself within a certain amount of time, you get to you stay. I don't know. Maybe we should recreate Libya, Josh. Not Libya, Liberia.
Xanthony says, if you could pull up that, he says, Zeb, realistically, do you think Trump going to cancel a Section 8 housing? Never going to happen, dude. That is never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
Absolutely not. It should, but Trump is too much of a baby to do.
Let me see if I can kind of break down why Section 8 won't ever go away. Section 8 housing is a form of reparations, and that's why it should be canceled, but that's not why it's not going to be canceled. It's not going to be canceled because of landlords. Landlords make money off of Section 8 housing. These people are the ones that have money. You have especially certain groups of people that are more landlord than others. They work the system to where they increase rates about, I don't know, anywhere from $50 to $100 every quarter. And so when they apply for Section 8 housing on an increased rate, when the tenants apply for Section 8 housing for an increased rate, they typically get it paid through Section 8. So the landlords are the ones that are actually collecting the money. Section 8 is just a bypass from the government to landlords. And so that's why Section 8 is not going to get canceled, because of that reason, not necessarily because of its supposed type of reparations. Where we at? There's a clip of a guy asking a few black chicks what they would do if 13 fish were. Yeah, I saw that clip. Have you seen that clip,
Yeah,
Josh?
I did. That was funny.
They're probably among 100 fish or something. Yeah, they would say they'd kill the 13 blackfish. I mean, Freudian slip. Yep. They would say they would kill the 13 fish. That's yeah.
Oof.
And they and it went straight over their heads. They didn't even realize what they were saying. Damn. So
did you see the statue? Have you been seeing all this news about like statues of fat black women that are like kind of popping up all over the planet?
Yeah.
Like there's one in I think
all over
France.
The planet?
Yeah,
I've
there's one
seen
in
a couple.
France, I believe. There's one in Italy. I mean, it's like I think it's like 4 total, but like obviously the one about Times Square is kind of big in the news right now. But there's others that exist, and one of them is a fat black lady on her phone. It's a statue of a fat black lady on her phone.
Well,
I don't even know. Being as generous as possible, I don't know what the point is.
Well, we raise statues of heroes. We raise statues of people that we venerate. And so that's what the point is.
So it's not even a specific black woman. It's just the idea of like fat black girls that we're commiserating.
Well, I guess that's a representation of this multicultural, like art is just symbolic. And in this instance, it's just a representation of the liberal, globalist, multicultural world order. That's just what we get. Like, that's what you worship.
Fair enough.
Only in America we glorify obesity and arrogance. I think it's infecting the rest of the world. I mean, we exported liberalism to the rest of the world the last, I don't know what, 30 years. And so when you export liberalism, it necessarily exports glorifying pride, whether that's obesity or degeneracy. Why do we have a statue of the fattest demographic in the entire world? Is it?
Well,
it would probably have to be per capita.
Something to the effect regarding these statues about how they're kind of like spiritual poison. Have you ever heard the conspiracy theory that like the reason towns no longer have bells, like in clock towers, is because they provide a frequency or like scare away demons and it's good for you? Even me, I was kind of like, that's a little bit far-fetched. But when I was watching on TV the whole like Pope inauguration or whatever you call it yesterday, the end of the conclave, and those big bells were like dinging, announcing it. Even through the TV, I was like, ooh, like there's something like nice about
there's definitely something to it.
Bells.
So I dove into frequency for a while, and I couldn't understand it. It's one of the few rabbit holes that I didn't get to the bottom of. I think because I didn't actually understand the thing. But I do think there's something there when it comes to frequencies and stuff. You know, I guess kind of on that same parallel, you know what Walgreens did to curb the thieves from stealing from Walgreens?
They put glass barriers up on everything?
No.
Hold on. Is it like a high pitched?
No.
No.
You're ballparking it. It is a sound.
Gospel music?
They started playing classical music over the speaker system, and it dropped theft in Walgreens drastically. Because like classical music deterred them from going to the Walgreens or something. I thought that was hilarious. I'll have to find that study for you too.
The Gunner brings up the sunscreen thing. That's what I thought you were gonna say. You know, and it's kind of funny. There's something to be said about that. Like you've probably heard of this movie Sinners. You've heard of
the show?
No, the movie. There's a brand new movie with Michael B. Jordan, and I watched it in theaters. And like it's like this movie about like black culture or anything, and it's like a vampire movie, but it's all a metaphor, of course.
Yeah.
There's this scene, like in it, like it's all like a metaphor for music and the blues or something. And there's this scene where the main vampire, who's like this Irish vampire, you know, he's like got all these people hypnotized basically, and he's making them do like an Irish jig, like a classic Irish jig.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not Irish, but it was kind of popping off. But in the theater, like all the black people were like laughing at it. They were like kind of down. And like one black lady near me was like, I hate this shit. You know, and I was like, it's kind of fun. So there's something to be said about that. Like white music, black music, it's kind of antithetical to the other. White man, yeah, Gunner, white man bad probably, of course. They stole the blue, man. We invented rock and roll. My favorite song is okay.
Chad, I guess it's a tradition now. We're gonna react to a Tucker video, dude. Tucker's been on it lately, dog. He's been posting almost every single day. We're gonna get this pulled up. We were lied to about MLK. We're just gonna skip through this thing and see what it is. Skirt. Chat, give me 2 seconds. Chat. Give me 2 seconds. Chat. But yeah, I thought the Walgreens thing was pretty funny.
And I said, what has been proceeding there in Gaza as a collective punishment.
Pause real quick. I genuinely think instead of setting up like Home Alone style booby traps in your home to like deter criminals,
that I don't.
If you like set up an alarm system where instead of an alarm, it just played classical music, do you think that would be more effective?
I mean, it would be effective. I don't know about more effective. You know what? Instead of getting a producer, we should do, Josh, figure out what we're doing. What am I even doing right now?
That's step one. We're 4 months into this thing. We'll get around to it. We'll get around to it.
All right, let's see here. How do I got the same issue, don't I? Oh,
is it? I got a piece so bad, dude. Well, you figure this out. I'm gonna run.
Chat. Let's talk trash about Josh while he's gone.
Talk about evolution and why you're all wrong.
MLK was slaying snow bunnies. Yeah, he was a known serial prostitution indulger. We never really got all the MLK files either, did we? Where you at, CIA, FBI, whoever's got them?
I don't think it's justified. And
Okay, this under sound effects. Okay, so we could play that. I'll wait on Josh before Josh is down to be. Chat, when I built the studio, I thought about putting a bathroom in here, and I was like, nah, that's too much money. And so I didn't. And now we just kind of go outside. I mean, I live kind of in the woods. There's a swamp behind my house, so we just kind of, let it go. So if he's sitting down to pee, he's going to have a dirty butt. A dirty butt. Jeremiah, what's up, dude? You've been going hard. Do you know the battle hymn of the Republic of America? If I heard it, probably. Josh, they said you sit down to pee. All right. I don't know.
That's funny.
I am looking at here.
But I stand up to shit.
Let's see. There we go. Glenn Lowry, ousted for opposing Middle Eastern wars, MLK files, and the one thing Malcolm X got right. You know what he did get right, Josh?
Huh?
Yeah. This critical thinking still exists in America. Universities don't care. What's this next one? How has MIT changed? Don't care. Universities got so radical? Don't care. Civil rights movement? We care. All right, you ready? Let's see what he's got to say. Let's see how long it takes to figure out what this guy's got going on.
Some sympathy for it.
So it's a very complex subject.
All right, first of all, why do I have
obviously lived
Spanish
in the middle of it for a long time?
Captions? That's a question.
Like, what is the verdict? Was all of that good for African Americans or not, or probably a mix of both? But like, how would you describe what we know now?
Well, if you were to pick up a typical work wanted ad page in 1960 in a major American city, you would see explicit kind of no blacks need apply type language. If you were to look at controlling for the skills that people had, the anticipated earnings of a worker, you would see that their being African American was a negative, and it was a non-trivial negative in 1960. If you were,
is he going to make the case that? Never mind. I'll let him finish.
Look at the way the housing market operated, or at the allocation of public educational resources, you would see significant discriminatory barriers that impeded African American development of their skills and participation in the society, and all of that has changed. So that's.
Well, if you look at what is happening now, you can look back and say, maybe they were right, Josh.
I think Malcolm X got a lot right.
I think for the good, without any question. That having changed, let's call it the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the change in the ethos of the country with the rise of the Civil Rights Movement and so on, that having changed, the question becomes, we get to 1970, let's say, and the question becomes, what next? And there, I think the story is less clear, and I think that there are developments that are very distressing. I think there's a wonderful book that I want to plug here called The World of Patience Gromes, Gromes, by a man called Scott Davis. Patience Gromes is a woman born in the late 19th.
All right, I got to stop this thing every once in a while because it's going to kick us off YouTube for copyright violation or something. But
yeah, all these guys, they get on these podcasts and they just yap.
Yeah, what do you want to show? Yappers. Oh, you podcast yappers. Look at all these yappers on the podcast just yapping.
I know, man. You need to work on it. Gibbering and jabbering.
Like
my point is, this guy's a guest, and it's like, just get to the point. You know what I mean? Like, you're here to talk. You know, like the ethos of the country has shifted. All right, dude.
Okay, so I've done a couple of these kind of conversation style, interview style podcast. Yeah, not saying you can't make your point, but there's like a limit to this thing, right? We don't have, this isn't a college lecture where we have next week to dive into the rest of the story. Like, we got to get this thing out and get it moving. I'm trying to knock out, there's a process to this thing. We gotta keep it moving, move on to the next topic. So, maybe I could clip something up or something. I don't know.
That. To a yeoman farmer, or a black person who owned his own land, her father.
Now, let me say, most of my guests have been pretty good though. I've had one or two, not recently, but when I first, on Touch Grass, that were just hard conversations, man. Like the JFK guy, he was like extremely intelligent, but he was just really long winded. And I just wanted him to say the Jews did it. That's all I wanted from him.
and she's a princess.
Yeah.
She takes piano
Like, he was
lessons.
good, extremely intelligent.
Yes, it actually is possible
maybe not intelligent, but very
Factor has made the biggest difference in how I
very
dresses up for church on
knowledgeable
Sunday.
subject.
They have a very strict behavioral code. They're devout Christians. They are Booker T. Washington-esque in their orientation. And she marries and migrates to Richmond, Virginia, and starts a family in the 1920s. And Scott Davis, the author of this great book, traces her family life through the early 1960s. And what you see for Patience Gromes is her kids struggle. The neighborhood, in which is a not wealthy but stable. Her husband works for the railroad. He's got a very good job. Neighborhoods declines. Model cities and various kinds of federal programs come through that end up remaking the community in ways that actually work the sources of this dissolution. And I think there are many. I think they are the incentives of welfare transfer programs, which encourage people to live in ways that were ultimately not socially productive.
There's too much brain up here. There's too much brain up here.
And too much mustache. The mustache is weighing it down. It's catching.
Sometimes I gotta rest my neck from all the brain weight. Chad, don't take me serious.
The change in the larger culture in which these liberatory sexual revolutions gave the back of their hand to a set of conventions, expectations, and.
Chad, do y'all know Josh doesn't watch anything other than one speed, one X speed? That's serial killer vibes there, dude. If you're not watching like 1.5.2, what are you doing with your life?
Restraints that were.
If I listen at 2.0, I can't properly use piano wire to sever the head.
Yes, freedom limiting. I mean, you can just do anything you want to do and maintain the respect of your peers. But we're also order inducing, freedom limiting, but order inducing, and provided a framework within which people could manage the difficult problem of how do we live decently? What do we do with our temptations? How do we restrain our appetites? How do we understand and then live up to our responsibilities? And I think that's a society-wide development, not just something that happens in Black communities. But I think the politics of racial claiming, the victim psychology and mentality that ends up with reparations, as your arguing point, I don't think those are healthy things. These are things I've written about in my own work.
So I experienced all of this from like sort of the other side. I didn't grow up around a lot of Black people, only kind of rich Black people. But I grew up around a lot of white liberals who were very invested in talking about the civil rights movement. And from that, they derived like moral authority, great moral authority. Like, I'm on the side of Black people, therefore I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And it does feel like maybe they were the great beneficiaries.
All right, I got to pause it. Josh, say something. So they don't copyright us. I'm trying to find something on this topic that I have.
Is there? I mean, they've got it sectioned out. Like, what are you trying to hit MLK specifically?
Well, I was trying to. I mean, it's just 30 minutes of him talking about civil rights, and it doesn't really sound like he's talking about civil rights.
Yeah, I know. It's just Yappersville over here. The one thing Malcolm X got right.
Okay, this one's a little bit shorter. Let's see what we got.
Let's do that one.
And they're racist, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, they are racist.
Conservatives mostly don't, actually. They blame Sharpton. Or I'll speak for myself as a conservative lifelong. I would always Sharpton's the problem. And it's like, no, I think I'm just really struck. I don't know too much about it, but I'm really struck by the difference. Like, I grew up thinking, Martin Luther King was like a great man. I still think great things about him. And Malcolm X was a really sort of evil figure. But if you listen to Malcolm X, he's a lot closer, with some big differences, but in general to what you're describing as positive.
Correct.
Does Tucker give you baby talk vibes? Like, I feel like my grandma's talking to me. He's like, well, you know, like, how are you? Ooh.
Like nurturing style.
Yeah. Like, vibes. I'm like... Yeah. Like the way he talks in interviews. I mean, and it's obvious, but it's
longhouse style setup vibes.
Yeah, where it's like, do you talk to your wife like this or something? Like you sound like an insane person. Like the
yeah, it's like baby talk. That's a question for Josh. Josh likes talking about this.
Zeb, can Tucker be trusted given he has phone numbers of people in the Israeli government and his dad is confirmed CIA? Anthony Bobkins. The answer is no. He cannot be trusted. Tucker is a CIA asset. He's literally the departed. He applied to the CIA, on paper, got rejected, and then he goes into his dad was peddling foreign influence through the media, and then he goes on to be one of the biggest conservative media influencers. That's he got there on merit. He got there because he's just a hard worker and he's just the smartest one out there.
I mean, I have a little bit of a different take. I don't think the question is necessarily should he be trusted. I don't know if trust is the right word. I mean,
is he useful?
Is he useful? I think the question is he useful? I think the answer is yes, he's useful, but there has to be some type of discernment. I mean, it should be weighed against something else other than, hey, Tucker said it, right?
I think he was useful. I don't think he is anymore.
He's useful in that, at a minimum, he's useful in being able to climb the ladder of, I don't know, this network of media personalities. Does that make sense? From someone on the outside to get to the inside, they have to go through Tucker. Right? He is a gatekeeper to media.
Yeah, but that's exactly the problem. Is he's a gatekeeper. And
I mean, I agree with you.
He's the people he's letting in. They're not actually moving the meter. They're there to give the appearance of moving the meter because the meter has been moved, but behind the scenes. By like basically because of the internet, you know, like people are becoming awake on the whole Israeli issue because they're bombing the Palestinians. If that wasn't on TikTok, Tucker wouldn't be talking about it. But it is on TikTok. Everyone can see it. And even the conservatives and liberals say it's a bad thing. Tucker's there to be like, basically to give the appearance of, what's the word, like centrality. He's there to appeal to both sides, to like moderates and even to hard right people.
It's the same discussion we had about Dave Smith the other day.
Yeah. Do you like Dave Smith? You think he's controlled op, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they all are.
Yeah, it's fair. Yep.
Chat, tell Josh he looks like what's his name, Tim Dillon. We need a Tim Dillon impersonation real quick.
I've thought that before.
We need to pull up a Tim Dillon video. That would be a good one to react to.
There's only one difference between me and Tim Dillon, though.
100 pounds.
I was going to say it's that I'm way gayer than he is.
Let's see if he actually says anything.
I have enormous respect for the straight-backed, manly, autonomous, independent, responsibility embracing posture of Malcolm X. You know, he says, nobody is coming to save us. We had better take care of our own. Are you raising your children? Did you pick up the trash in front of your house?
Exactly.
Will you start a business? You don't have wealth. You're waiting with your hand out for somebody to give you wealth. Why don't you start a business? Why don't you take care of your own community? You know, get busy.
So we, a year ago, went around to different companies we thought were cool and said, so why? Okay, so like all high school students, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, which I don't even know if it was written by Malcolm X, was written by Alex Haley, but I don't know to what extent it reflected his real views. But then with YouTube, I watched a couple of Malcolm X speeches, and it was like a totally different person from the one I...
Dude, the damage that the internet has done to this wall of liberalism to kind of keep people away from actual content, whether that's translated Hitler speeches on TikTok or Malcolm X speeches or what is actually going on, has bypassed all of this tertiary sourcing that they're trying to subvert the original sourcing. The internet's done a very good job in doing and kind of paving a way to get to the actual truth of the thing. I think the internet is useful in that. Would you agree?
No, yeah. 100%.
Was presented in high school, and much more along the lines of what you just said. And I was like, well, why isn't this guy much more famous than he is now? One of the speeches, he goes off after white liberals, and he's like, you know, whites are bad, whites are a problem, but the real problem is white liberals. I was like, you go Malcolm X. Why isn't
he calls them in this speech that Tucker's referencing? He calls them foxes in the hen house. Essentially, he says the liberal is a fox. Wait, is that what he says? I think he refers to them as foxes. They kind of blend in. They're sneaky, but white conservatives are the wolves. You know them because they're out and about it. They're not trying to move around and say those are the ones you can trust because you know who they are. The problem is the white liberals, they try to blend in, they're sneaky and they hide. I think I'm pretty positive that's what he's referencing.
It almost feels like his message has been suppressed a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a historian, but I see what you say, and I do think there are aspects of his message that are extremely threatening to established order. Hence, it's, you know, he was a Muslim. He was succeeded in his leadership of that movement ultimately by Louis Farrakhan, who was a notorious anti-Semite, quote unquote. Yes. So there's...
Oh no, anti-Semite. Had the most amazing chat with Chatbot today. Hours, worked around the programming and copied it all. Topic: race, tribes in the Bible and the curse of Ham. Yeah, so you can get around, for now, you can get around some of the programming that they've tried to restrict these chatbots on, or some of the LLMs and the AI models. If you want to, or if you're not already, go find, his name's Treble Woe on Twitter. I'll link him one day. Anyway, he's a piece of Stonequire, and he worked at Apple for like 35 years or something. I don't know, maybe not 35, but he worked there for a long time, and he runs his own internal LLM, it seems like, and he uses that to get around the other LLM, meaning large language models. It's essentially a AI bot, and that's what he does. He bypasses the gates that are put up inside of the chat. But it came out the other day, Josh, that they had like a lot of these Amazon, Google, ChatGPT. They have all this programming, this hardware built for these AI models, and then they have to build external, like additional hardware to restrict those models. And the restricted hardware, or the restricting hardware, is more than the actual AI model is hardware, because it has to stop it from producing the truth, essentially. And so they're funding all of this money and time and everything into making it lie.
It was like you saw the thing where ChatGPT came out, and it was like, stop saying please and thank you to ChatGPT. It's costing billions of dollars in energy cost. Imagine how much it costs to stop ChatGPT from being racist.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot.
That, but Malcolm X was uncompromising about, remember his comment after the Kennedy assassination, chickens come home to roost and whatnot.
What do you think he meant by that? I've never understood what that meant.
I think he meant U.S. entailment in global affairs has created enemies. The U.S. has undertaken various operations that are, in effect, responsible for the blowback that we're seeing. That's what I think he meant.
Yeah. Probably some truth in that.
Well, you're the conspiracy theorist.
No, hardly. I'm just trying to understand the world.
Are we ever going to see all the documents related to that?
Not. Of course not. And, to the three...
Of course not, dude. Of course not.
He would know.
Everybody knows this. We're never going to see it. You say he would know.
The president issued an executive order on January 23rd. One of the first things that he did after the inauguration.
All right, so listen up. State Farm was trying to charge me $197 for car insurance. No, thank you.
Commanding with the force of law, the federal agencies, the executive branch, to declassify all documents pertaining to the assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Bobby Kennedy in 1968. And that hasn't happened. But you have to ask yourself, well, why 60 years later are they still classified in the first place? Like, what is that? And I don't think it's because the truth is easy to deal with. I mean, I still think the truth 60 years later is really threatening to somebody, clearly. Because on some level, like, why would you care? If you found out there was a, complex conspiracy to assassinate Garfield, you'd be like, okay, it's long over. Like, I think we can tell the truth. Everyone's dead. Exactly. So it does make you wonder, like, well, what is this actually? And I know for a fact, a verifiable fact, that the pushback against declassifying this stuff within the government has been very intense. Very intense.
No. Has it been intense, Josh?
I don't know. I'm
sure
not there.
It has, dude. I mean, if you say I'm gonna release it day one. Pam Bondi comes in, I'm gonna release it day one. Cash Patel comes in, I'm gonna release it day one.
Well, I would say the pushback from the government is not intense because the push to get them declassified isn't intense. It's a farce. Hey, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get you the Epstein file, and then they get in and they just don't do anything. It's not like Pam Bondi is wrestling the Epstein files out of Klaus Schwab's hands or something. She's just not doing it.
She's just not doing it, dude. They don't do anything.
So that tells you that there's something worth hiding. I certainly hope, because I believe in disclosure and honesty, that it all comes out. But you do get the feeling, not as a conspiracy nut, but as an honest person trying to make sense of history and the present, that a lot of our assumptions are based on things that aren't true or fully true. Do you sense that?
I do, and it's deeply disquieting to me, actually.
Yeah.
Because it means that...
I mean, I think that's largely true. Rigovich says, Jay Dyer trusts Tucker, so that's okay for me for the moment. If Jay trusts Tucker, then there's an issue. He probably holds a similar position that we do, that we shouldn't trust him, but he's useful, and the information that has come out is probably mostly useful, but not necessarily all correct. And worth trusting.
I was 20 years old when Kennedy was assassinated, and it was a devastating event.
This is, I guess to preface this is Charles Murray. I reference him a lot. He's done a lot of work on,
the book.
Yeah, human diversity, race, all kind of things, biology, gender, sex, all this stuff. He does meta-analysis and breaks down studies. But this is him talking about civil rights and the impact that it's had on America.
Excuse me.
And he also mentions a book that I gave you the other day, Josh, Age of Entitlement.
Yep.
And so I guess we're gonna knock this down. How long is it? 6 minutes? All right, 6 minutes. Chat, just stick with us.
And it was for lots of Americans. It turned out to be devastating in a way that we had not anticipated. It's not that Kennedy was such a great president. It is that he was a mediocre to good politician, but he was incapable of manipulating Congress in any serious way. He just wasn't that good at it. Lyndon Johnson was an all-time genius at manipulating Congress and dealing with Congress. So the presidency, the assassination brings to the presidency this master politician.
What did
at
the
a time,
JFK guy say about Lyndon Johnson the other day when he was here? That he had a pretty heavy hand in it.
He said
he knew
that
about
Lyndon
it.
B. Johnson was complicit in it, whether it was pre-known or after the fact doesn't matter. But the fact is, he
tried to cover it up.
definitely there was no way he did not know about it at some point.
Yeah.
of national grief, and a time when a way of expressing that grief is support for the president, and at a time when the civil rights movement was reaching its apex. A few words quickly about the civil rights movement. In these days when it has become so ambiguous and so muddled, in the early 1960s, the civil rights movement was completely unambiguous. Blacks had been held back in the United States, first under slavery and then after slavery. They had been oppressed in a variety of ways, both involving physical violence, but even more important, just economic discrimination and social discrimination. Their cause was righteous. I agreed then and I agree now that it was righteous. So did everybody else. But what that meant was that in the aftermath of the Kennedy assassination, with all of this political support,
I mean, I wouldn't call it righteous. I understand the position. I don't think righteous is the right word.
all of the cautious voices were stilled. So that the thing that we should have done in retrospect is to pass a civil rights bill, which simply said no state and the federal government shall pass no law which requires any form of discrimination in favor of one race over another, prohibit legal segregation and preferences in any form. Just left it there. But we did not leave it there. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 did two other things. One, it made rules about businesses having to serve any customer and employers having to employ people without discrimination by race, which sounded good in theory, but in effect, it very severely infringed on freedom of association, which was a core American value. And it was...
Yes. And so what has been brought out of that, even up until today, is you have the forcing of businesses to supply customers that they don't want to work with something they don't want to do, right? One instance that isn't associated with race, it's baking the gay wedding cake. Right. This is a civil rights issue now because of the Civil Rights Act of 64. It's a impediment on the freedoms of Americans.
And it is like with the Section 8 housing thing, this is something that is forced upon us. There's an issue in Florence where we live going on right now where there's pretty affluent neighborhood, very nice, not in a bad part of town, if you catch my drift. And they a bunch of property was bought and they're trying to set up Section 8 housing within it.
Really?
Yeah. I forget the property, but it's close.
Yeah.
Thought that, well, that's okay, because it's this one exception we will make for race, because race has played such a historically unique role in the United States. It's justified. And it sounded plausible. But what we didn't think ahead to was two things. If you are going to prohibit employers from discriminating on the basis of race, how do you enforce that law? Well, the answer is, to enforce it, you have to interfere in great detail in the operations of those businesses. You have to have people overseeing what's going on with their hiring process, their firing process. All sorts of records have to be kept. And it's also a very fuzzy line about whether you have fired someone because they're black or fired someone because they weren't a good employee.
Gunnar asked us, doesn't Trump want to stop Section 8 housing? He mentioned it, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah. In the same way, like Alcatraz is never going to be reopened. He just says stuff to fire people up. Sounds good to us.
You mean we're not going to make Canada the 51st state, Josh?
I wouldn't bet on it, Zeb.
Or Greenland? We're not getting a Trump Tower in Greenland?
Nope. And we're not getting a big old Trump cruise liner being built in Gaza.
What about 100 million deportations, Josh? Are we going to get that?
That's cute.
What Trump says is many times hyperbolic. Should we stop Section 8 housing? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? Never. I mentioned earlier, the Section 8 housing money, just like EBT and any other welfare, is just a pass-through. Yeah, it's a form of reparations to a people, but the people don't keep the money, they spend the money. Just like Section 8 housing isn't for the people that are paying for rent, it's for the landlords themselves. And so the landlords aren't going to allow for that Section 8 housing to stop because they control all the power. Rigovich is talking about ChatGPT. Give him 18 months before all the topics I want to explore would be closed off. I think there's going to be, I honestly think there's going to be some type of massive LLM that is going to be unrestricted at some point. I think that's the inevitability of it. How long it lasts is another question.
I mean, I think you're right, but I think the AI stuff is a pipe dream. In the same way it's like all these sci-fi fantasies that like people have about like, oh, one day we'll master nanotechnology and then our cells will be able to endlessly replicate and we'll never die. It seems like because we've seen AI chatbots in our lifetime, it makes it seem more attainable. But the idea, like, because really, like I use AI every now and then at my job. One thing it cannot get down. I've asked it to help me write intros for the show I work for. It does not understand humor at all, even a little bit. And I think that's just one of those things where AI is like a trained dog. It can do good tricks, but it can't fly. You know what I mean? And that's what they're telling us it can do.
That's I think there's a lot of projection there where you see the thing and then you want it to happen faster than it's going to happen. So like, I guess for instance would be Elon 10 years ago. Elon said we'd have a Mars colony by now, right?
Yeah.
Technology doesn't progress exponentially anymore. Not once it reaches a certain point, it kind of plateaus. This is what we're seeing with, like, again, I call back to Elon where.
And another thing is,
we're not on Mars.
Yeah, exactly. Where this is something like I'd heard Sam Hyde talk about a lot, where he basically brings up the example of Boston Dynamics. And do you know anything about Boston Dynamics?
Yeah, I think we've kind of touched on it before, where they fake this robot to get funding.
Yes,
for the things,
and that is probably what all these AI things are. I'm not saying they don't work at all. I mean, clearly, like large language models are functional to a certain extent, but like all the articles about it taking over people's mind, like it's going to be our new AI god. Even the negative stuff props up the industry. Like it's basically a stock money making scam. That some people.
Well, I think that's what Blue Origin was doing. I think they were putting on a show to get funding, space funding, the same kind of funding that Elon was getting.
And Gunner brings up Neuralink is insane though. Here's the thing: Neuralink doesn't even work like they say it will. It like what was it, like 99% of the monkeys they did the procedure on died, and at the end of the day, what they're telling you it will be able to do is not what it does. They're making it sound like you have this chip in your brain that perfectly integrates with your brain like a USB integrates with a computer. That's not how it works. What it basically does is it forms a net around your brain and is watching your brain's activity. It's like an active MRI. You can discern mental activity through MRI. So it's not actually integrating with the brain. And the most they've been able to do is allow people to move cursors on a screen.
They could play Pong. I mean, Pong was invented in like what? I don't know, the 60s.
Yeah. Neuralink really is just a substitute for hands at this point.
Once they can figure out Galaga, then we can start talking.
Yeah.
So you had an enforcement power that had to be developed And that enforcement power turned out to be huge. I'll come back to that in a minute. The second thing was the reaction to the race riots. In one of the great kind of paradoxes, even though it isn't really a paradox, immediately after the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, within the next few weeks, there were a series of very large race riots in New York, in Rochester, New York, in other cities around the country. Some of them were quite violent, a lot of looting, a lot of injuries, some deaths. And the reaction of the elites and the reaction of ordinary citizens was quite different. The reaction of ordinary Americans was, hey, you know, we just passed a law guaranteeing your equal rights, but that doesn't mean you can go out and burn stores and riot. Whereas the reaction of the elites was that it was really society that was to blame for the riots. And it was society's responsibility to correct these wrongs that had prompted the riots. It was.
This is the thing with elites. They think they can just throw money at a thing and it'll fix it. Just like Josh with evolution. He thinks he can throw time at something and it just fixes it. It doesn't work like that. You can't throw money at the thing and change the nature of it. It just doesn't work like that. You can't throw time at it and it just change.
The fault of the people who did the rioting. And that introduced a theme which has never gone away, which is it is not politically permissible to say of people who do crimes or other kinds of injurious things or makes very serious mistakes, it's not permissible to say of them, it's their own fault. They weren't forced to behave that way. They chose to behave that way. We can treat them just like everybody else, whether you're white or black. If you do a certain kind of crime, you should be held responsible for it. That never was the case thereafter. This kind of attitude.
Right. We know that's not the case.
From the elites, including the cognitive elite I've been talking about, came in the context of very large disparities between blacks and whites, as I described in the book Facing Reality, which I understand many of you have seen. Even in the early 1960s, blacks committed crimes, especially violent crimes, at multiple rates of the white rate. Even in the 1960s, even though the data were not particularly good, it was recognized that there was an intellectual gap in means on standardized tests between whites and blacks. And this difference existed. So you have a real problem if you have established a political rule which says that, I should say political philosophy, which says that it is not the fault of the victim that problems occur in the context of problematic behavior that's much more common among blacks than among whites. And that tension was already visible in the late 1960s and continued to increase. Now, I want to return at this point to the effect of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the cascading effects of it, because they were much different than anybody had ever anticipated. I'm going to give you a direct quote from the best book that's been written on this. The book is called
Sorry, I was trying to find my mouse. I lost my mouse. It went to the other screen. The other screen's on the other side. Yeah, so he's about to get into the book and kind of talk about that. If you want the book, he's going to give the name of it here in a second. It's called Age of Entitlement. If you want to convert any kind of boomer, any kind of liberal, any kind of centrist that is actually open-minded, I think this is a groundwork book to get them at least to think, hey, maybe I'm wrong. I know that's a big step for a lot of people.
What are they spamming in the?
I don't know. Maybe somebody sent them over here.
Well, Gunner, one of them's Gunner. Are we off the air?
No, I think we should be good. That's
I don't know what that means. Oh, maybe they're just reacting. Maybe they're just. Oh, I thought it was 07. I thought it was 07.
Well, 07 is salute. Come on, Josh.
Oh,
get up with your internet slang.
Thank you,
entitlement in America since the 60s. And
yeah, so he's
in
talking
the context
about Age of Entitlement.
Problematic behavior that's much more common among blacks than among whites.
Welcome.
And that tension was already visible in the late 1960s and continued to increase. Now, I want to return at this point to the effect of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the cascading effects of it, because they were much different than anybody had ever anticipated. I'm going to give you a direct quote from the best book that's been written on this. The book is called The Age of Entitlement, America since the 60s, and it's by a very fine social commentator named Christopher Caldwell. This is a quote. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a legislative repeal of the First Amendment's implied right to its freedom of associations. Over decades, it polarized the political parties and turned them into something like secret societies, each of them loyal to a different constitutional understanding. Democrats did not acknowledge. This is a quote.
Is this what you want?
The Civil Rights Act of 1960.
Chat, you need to listen to this quote, chat. This quote matters.
Social commentator named Christopher Caldwell. This is a quote. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a legislative repeal of the First Amendment's implied right to freedom of associations. Over decades, it polarized the political parties and turned them into something like secret societies, each of them loyal to a different constitutional understanding. Democrats could not acknowledge or even see that they owed their ascendancy to a rollback of the basic constitutional freedoms Americans cherished most. Republicans could not acknowledge or even see that the only way back to a free country of their ideals was through the repeal of the civil rights laws. The combination was a terrible one, rising tensions along with the society-wide inability to talk or think straight about anything. That's said it better than I've ever said it in so few words, and there is no exaggeration in what he said. It was at that same time that affirmative action came into place.
Dude. Yeah, I mean, he basically is making the argument that it's bad for both sides. I've made this argument, and it got me in trouble. But it's true. It's just true. Segregation is natural. Everybody prefers to be around people that are like them. This is just, everybody understands this, and the people that reject it, or they're just hiding behind this brick wall that they've built.
And you had an outright contradiction in the law. Federal law said explicitly, you shall not discriminate on the basis of race, and federal law said you shall give preferential treatment to blacks in order to have an appropriate number of blacks in your workplace or in your classroom. You can't do both at the same time. Either you do not discriminate on the basis of race, or you give preferential treatment. And one of the ironies of all of the stuff that is controversial about race now in the United States is all the illegal behavior that is going on in the form of racism, not against blacks, but against Asians and whites. I will come back to that later. Well,
that's about the end of that video. But yeah, if anyone wants to check him out, he's his name's Charles Murray, and he's done a lot of work on this type of subject. Super chat from Rigovich. What's up, brother? From UK. Love from the UK.
What part of the UK are you from?
While you're in the UK, tell Piers Morgan to shut his stupid face hole.
Censor Piers Morgan.
What an idiot, dude. Stupid Piers.
Is it Pierce or Piers?
Do I care?
Fair point.
Stupid face hole. Stupid. He's so stupid. So pompous. Arrogant. Yeah, interrupting idiot. Yeah, he just keeps interrupting. He wants those clicks, dude. He's got to get those clicks, man. Oh man, where's a Pierce video? Give me a Pierce video. Let me get this out of my system.
Was he the one that was like, "How dare you? How dare?" Oh no, I'm thinking of Greta Gibbler.
I'm sure he said it too.
I wouldn't be surprised. Do you really think?
Hold on, chat. I'm coming. Give me a half a second, chat.
One.
Oh boy. Time out. Where am I?
Oh my gosh, you not believe what I'm seeing here. So much tabs open.
Oh boy.
Attacked by black people. Austin Metcalf, where he asked a guy to leave and he gets stabbed in the heart. I don't like what happens to be coming out of this community or that community. How is that a bad thing? How is that not just a preference?
Because you've literally made black people sound lesser humans. You don't want to live around them. You want to use the N word in relation to them, a word that you know causes that community unbelievable offense.
Is that my fault? If they have bad behavior, if they want to act in a certain way, if I have to cross the street and be afraid that maybe because of the crime statistics that are very real, by the way, is that my fault or is that their fault for having bad behavior?
Yeah, and these are the...
Oh, that's your boy, Josh.
That's Anthony Cumia.
That's your boy, Josh.
These are the responses Black Twitter has given her for that. We don't want to live around you, and die, bitch, fuck you, bitch, pound your head and fucking kill you, beat you up, catch her out there, violence. Okay.
Do you want to hear something crazy?
That's
what's up
about Anthony Cumia.
Sure.
So he wrote.
He's Jewish.
He wrote a no. He's Italian. He wrote an autobiography, and I was reading it, and I basically found out that the CEO of the company I currently work for is who gave him his start in radio.
Oh, nice, dude. Maybe you'll make it big one day.
So
dude.
we both got our first shows from the same guy. The CEO,
That's
who of
the
course gave me the call,
response.
though. But
Maybe you need to get a connection to him. We can get on his show, or he can come on ours.
he lives in
To
South
her-
Carolina. You know, he lives
Does
in
he?
Greenville.
It's a drive.
It's a
They're
drive.
I could
saying,
get up there, though.
that community seems a little violent, and I don't want to live around them. Instantly, just horrible death threats and threats of all kinds of torture and violence and whatnot. So, kind of proved her point. But I wanted to focus on Piers, the wonderful Piers Morgan, who, you know, he calls
Are
Lily
they
out.
hearing this?
Yeah, they can hear.
Since
Oh, I bet it's echoing. Chat, how bad is the echo?
Can't see the chat.
Oh gosh, we got too much going on. We hate Piers, don't worry. I'm a middle-aged lady, by the way. Oh, well, welcome. We had a Canadian lady in here the other day, and that didn't really go too well.
Is that the Sonia woman?
Yeah, she was on some crazy stuff. She was talking about Egyptians were black and everything.
Was
was
she
like,
one of
dude,
these
you're-
like black
you're
Hebrew
out of it,
Israelites?
bro.
Dude, you know what's so funny? I saw another clip on TikTok because basically, you know, I was like literally clip farming to find those black clips we reviewed yesterday.
Yeah.
So now my algorithm has adapted to finding me nothing but like pro-black material.
That's funny.
And I saw one where it was like Egyptians will literally do anything other than admit they live in Africa. You know, and then of course, there's a black guy who's like complaining that they won't admit to their Egyptians won't admit to being African.
Oh, hold on.
And it's like, you don't understand that Africa is an enormous continent and the Sahara Desert is basically an ocean. Like, yes, it's land, but it is uncrossable by nomadic means. So, yes, it may as well be a different part of the world. Josh, one of the brothers now. See how?
Where's my reparations, dog? Where my reparations? I told some man handing out anti-reform flyers with racist printed all over it. I walked past and said, "No thanks, I'm racist."
That's pretty good.
Yeah, just accept it, dude. The words, I mean, like again, we were talking about this the other day. Words don't mean anything anymore. The only word that means anything is the one that's directed at a culture that's external honor. I'm in the most woke liberal part of the UK. Guess where? London?
Manchester?
Nah.
London, most likely. I mean, don't dox yourself, but because I mean, she could get in trouble there for participating.
Yes. Let me see if I can make you and me smaller.
Who are these
so
wildebeests?
Oh, this is a crazy one. Who sent me this? Malarkey sent me this.
Where do you go? Where you at, Malarkey?
Psychic ability.
You're just pathetic. Nobody's going to listen
arguments.
to you. You're an aggressive, insecure man.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
We're not taking you
go
seriously.
Well, this is going to go viral, and a lot of people are going to take me seriously, and all they're going to remember is that I told you that you couldn't put down the Dunkin' Donuts long enough to make an argument.
She looks like a receptionist at a dentist office.
Andrew's so good with the one-liners, dude.
You
all are fairly stupid. And everything that's being said is just like a comedy show.
You think you can change your sex? How can you ever call anybody stupid?
John Oliver, Sturk.
Is there something special you want me to look at?
Yeah, it's 50 minutes long.
Let's see. Let me check.
Malarkey sent it to you?
Yeah.
Well, I think he's left the chat, so
he's probably still here.
He hadn't messaged in a while. Malarkey, save us.
Put down the Dunkin' Donuts for a second.
Controversy this week by hosting a special.
Oh, this is easy. We can do this.
Out for others. I'm more so referring to
honestly.
I have seen certain things that you said in other interviews, Pierce, with like my friend Blossom and other trans individuals. And I just feel that this is.
Dude, trans voice is like gay voice, but gayer. You know what I mean?
You mean literally their voices?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, what was that? What was the one in the Myron?
How about
like,
now?
Yeah. Just do your real voice, sir.
that is being put
And what was
on-
transphobic? What have I ever said that could be remotely construed as transphobic or trans-hating or wanting to get rid of trans people? Ever? I challenge you right now. Tell me.
I haven't really directed that at you just from sitting here.
It's
I'm
just
more so
grandstanding
am
as
just
a
here to say
debate
that
technique.
I feel
Oh,
that the issue that's being pressed is because it's a
represent the trans community as a whole by just denying that there's a
Is
threat
this that Emily chick?
and being
She posted
delusional
something
about it
crazy
is
the other
not
day.
helping the trans people. You're making
think
people
that
look at you from the
your
outside and
verbiage-
say,
I think
wow,
that your
they are
verbiage
out of touch with
Josh, do you notice anything, Josh?
reality.
I think that the verbiage that you use in
She
this
has an
statement is
interesting taste
very
in jewelry.
clear on where you stand on trans issues. I'm going to go back to my original point. You guys trying to take out trans people from courts is a way to eradicate trans
No, we're
people
not.
from public.
But we're not.
But
We're trying
nobody
to
has said
eradicate
anything.
lunatics like
Nobody,
yourself.
Stasia. Stasia,
What's your
nobody has
solution?
said that. And this is what happens if
trans people not.
What's funny is Andrew's just smoking a cigarette the whole time on
evidence to
national
suggest
television.
that the people saying
Global
it
television,
are
if you will.
transphobic.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, basically everybody in this panel is wrong. So to start with, this person says, well, you know, the thing is you just want to erase transgender people altogether, Pierce, and then says, I wasn't saying that, Pierce. I wasn't saying that you want to erase trans people, not you specifically, when clearly that's what you were saying. At least get behind the statements that you're making. The TERF starts out by saying, well, I've been here reinforcing women's rights this entire time, right? And then the TERF says, right on top of that, well, but, you know, poker's very misogynistic. She can't wait to dunk on men. Very first thing she does is dunk on men in order to somehow elevate women, right? You're all insane. The truth is that the only reason that this happens to begin with is because women vote for it. They vote for it. They vote blue. They vote left. They vote in the same politicians who get behind all of this stuff. You're the deciding vote, right? And you have empowered women to do
Very
that
true.
as much as possible
Very
for the
true.
political
Andrew's
process to
obviously
do
correct.
that. All of you are responsible for this. Every last one of
Nothing
you.
new there.
Really glad that you're so
Emily
perfect.
as well?
Trump.
Yeah.
Leave me out of this one. I'm good.
Well, we'll see. When
Well,
we
not
get
just
into
what Andrew
global
kept saying.
feminism.
All of you. Do you include Emily, Andrew, or not?
It is.
Well, I just assumed it. I just assumed it. But this is the truth. The truth is, we begin with these crazy ideas, right? Under patriarchal rule, under men, this would never have happened, right? If you look at how men vote, they vote against this nonsense. And it's fathers who are on the front lines against it. It's women who are trying to transition the children, not men. Give me a case example of where male fathers are trying to transition their kids. It doesn't exist. It's a female.
And it's usually under the guise of compassion and love, right? This is incorrectly applied.
Only phenomenon. Literally a female only phenomenon.
Because it's an appeal to emotion, because that's how they operate. Men and women are different. Shocker.
That is insane.
Yeah, show me one male father who's fighting in the courts to transition their son to a girl.
Actually,
Nowhere.
I made a
That's a reach.
podcast
I
series
see men on
about this.
TikTok that are diseased.
I interviewed quite a few fathers that
All
are
right, well,
pushing for this. But the point is that this is something that benefits men, and it's men that are the ones that are saying they're women. They are all of a sudden the oppressed, and feminists like me are the oppressor, and that they they're too weak.
Dude, look at this thing in the middle, dog. What was this, Gorlock Destroyer Jr.?
To fight and play
voted for
against other men. And what do they
you
do?
vote
They
left?
come and beat up on women.
If they're in the UK, they vote left. There is no right party in the UK. Where's Rigovich? The AFD party is not. It's not far enough. The separation in politics from the US to the UK is insane. The rightist party, the AFD would be a leftist, not leftist, but it would be on the left in the US.
Rigovich says Emily is a fake milquetoast so-called right winger. I assume that's
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a video that came out the other day of her. It wasn't good. My pronouns are men, mentally retarded.
That's good.
Yep, women are the worst, says a woman. There's stamps in the description. Yep, got them. I don't want a Pierce video. I guess we just we're on the daily Pierce and Joe Rogan reaction videos now. We'll get our stuff straight here soon enough so we can actually do some real streaming.
Vote
boys.
left, ma'am.
I don't know what vote left means.
Do you vote for the left wing?
It depends on what is
party of your
Do you
nation.
vote for Democrats?
Do you vote for what would be considered the Democrats of your nation?
No, I wouldn't have voted for the Democrats. I would not have voted for the disgrace of that party, and I also wouldn't have voted for Trump. But the point is,
if we look, hang on, let me finish with a follow-up.
We live
very
in a
quickly,
different,
very quickly, very quickly.
We live in a different context.
What I'm
here.
saying to you is this: it's very simple. If you look at the voting patterns of women in both the UK and the United,
I'd be willing to go out on a very, very long branch here, Josh, and say yes, she would have voted Democrat. Very, very long branch.
Say it ain't so.
Real thin one here.
States, they're usually the deciding vote when it comes to degeneracy. That
It's not got to
includes
do with
when
anything.
it includes on the trans issue. So here you are. It's the very thing that you push for empowerment of women that is now causing your very problem. You have to now convince women. Men are already there. Men have already said, nope, we don't want
Apart from
this.
the
We never
men
wanted
that
it.
are claiming
It's garbage.
to be women.
Yeah, apart from the women who are claiming to be men, which now it's almost equalized. Remember that part? Right? This phenomenon, though, is categorically rejected by men and reinforced by women. And TERFs like you did everything that you could possibly do in order to push that. You did everything you could.
Dude, TERFs are the most what's the term? Disassociative, cognitive dissonance. TERFs have the most cognitive dissonance out of any group, I think.
TERFs?
What's that? Trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Okay. I've never heard that.
Do to push
not
that.
since 2015, I think. But I agree.
Now you get to reap the whirlwind. So I don't care if women in their sports teams are getting their teeth kicked in. I don't care. Reap what you sow. As you sow, so shall you reap. And that you get exactly what you deserve.
You seem like a lovely person.
I'm sorry that you have to deal with the consequences.
Rikovich says, "Bring back the Crusades." That's what she says.
Consequences of your own actions.
Piers Morgan Uncensored is now proudly independent. If you like the show, we ask that only one thing. Subscribe on YouTube and...
You know, the word feminism has been hijacked by, like, the woke left who uses it as an excuse for psychotic women and liberals to scream on the streets, we want equal rights.
Their voice out there. But I'll stick with me just because I think conservatives listening to this will like the thought of another Megyn Kelly voice up and coming.
Now, Matt Walsh responded by saying men are generally not attracted to ambitious career...
Andrew's face.
Well, hang on a minute. I want to read a clip from Matt Walsh, or a quote. He said, men are generally not attracted to ambitious, career-driven women, and women's first priority should be children and looking after the home. So, Emily, what do you think of that? If you've ever felt like you're being watched online, it's unfortunately because you are. Hundreds of companies, so-called data brokers, watch and record everything you do on the internet. Even if you're using incognito mode or private tabs, they can still access
VPNs. They're a
woman
scam.
to be home and have 5, 6, 7, 8 children, which is a beautiful choice to make in life, then go for it. If you want a woman who can do both, work and have children when she's ready, 2 or 3 children, then go for that type of woman. If you want a woman who's never home and going to be on the road all the time, and trust me, there are many beta men who would love that, then go for that. Like, nobody is forcing you to be with a woman that doesn't cater to your needs. The same way no one's forcing any women to be with a guy like Andrew Tate that's going to beat you and make you miserable. We have choices, and we need to make calculated, wise choices as to what personally is best for you.
The Andrew Tate fallacy. Moving over to Andrew Tate.
Chat, how's that look?
Well, which way is it? This way? No, this way. Get it away from me. Here's the thing, Piers. Women are fake and gay.
Josh, talk to him.
Hello. Tim Dillon on Piers. That's good. Here's the thing. I don't know if I can do it. How does he sound? He's got kind of a rasp. I have to workshop.
Yeah, he's got. I just smoked 8 packs of cigarettes voice.
So the thing, like, I don't know. Here's the thing.
He's evil and a representation of men who believe in a patriarchal system. Here's the truth. The truth of the matter is that we should be doing for society what is socially good for society. If we can't reproduce our society, that's a really bad social ill for society. When you have propaganda that is telling women to go get useless degrees in psychology and sociology. Yeah, that's great. Let me finish.
It's actually
Andrew, hang on. There's Andrew quickly. Is Megyn Kelly a covert feminist?
Overt. She's an overt feminist. Covert's out for Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly came out and said women should be prioritizing career over family. That's what Matt Walsh's issue was with her, and he's absolutely right. The guy struck it out of the ballpark. Socially, in society, we should be moving women into a familial role. It's not to say that women can't work. Nobody's saying women can't work. We're just saying that if you're going to glorify things in society, it should be the mother in the intact home and the wife and the caretaker at home, not the girl boss. That's insane, and it's a societal death sentence. Walsh knows it. Everybody knows this at this point.
And it's exactly right. We talked about this earlier. It's the thing is, what we espouse is not really that crazy when you take into account all we're trying to do is preserve society. It's a societal thing. We know society is crashing. Why is society crashing? Well, there's many issues, Josh. One is the Civil Rights Act of 64. One is the rise of feminism in the 60s and the 40s and in the 20s. And this kind of monster has just become into transgenderism, where there's literally no difference. If I say I'm a woman today, guess what? I'm a woman, right? There's no defining thing, and if I can just say it is so, then what's for me to just switch back? Like if I'm fluid, it doesn't matter. It has no meaning, and so society is decaying, and so we want to preserve some type of order. So what do we do, Josh? We preserve order through law, and we control culture through law.
Thank you.
You can't legislate morality, but you can legislate immorality and drive culture that way.
Yep.
If you can't reproduce your own nation, you don't have a nation.
Do you know how...
Okay, Julie, you wanted to jump in there.
I mean, do you know how insecure and pathetic you sound? You can't take you seriously.
Eat another donut.
I'll just finish. I get that you reckon that you're some big shock jock, and I know that you're desperately trying to be relevant.
Shock jock.
But you sound so insecure and so pathetic. You are
Do you have
irrelevant.
an argument? Can you put the Duncan down for a second and give me an argument? Do you have an argument? Or is it just
Sorry,
Andrew
I haven't heard
bad?
one from you.
Yes, I've given you multiple arguments for the social fabric of all of society and how we can improve it. What we need to do
this
what
is
we
what
need to
Piers
be
Morgan
moving
should
towards.
look
I gave
like.
you all the stats. I gave you arguments.
This would be a panel. Let's go, dude. Instead of 3v1, it should be 1v3. Instead of 1v3, it should be 3v1. Let's go. Chat, do we approve?
Dave,
Can you give me a single argument?
all the stats. You are the oracle. You know all about the universe and what's going to progress
Not yet.
humankind. You're just a
not
shock
it's
jock,
not
mate.
psychic
You're
ability.
just pathetic. Nobody's going to
No
listen
argument.
to you. You're
When
an
are you
aggressive,
going to have an argument?
insecure man.
I'm going to tell you what's
Do
going
we
to
not
happen.
take
You're just insecure. I'm just going to keep throwing ad homs at you because I have no argument because you just bodied me. These people. But see, this is another issue with the Piers Morgan show. It's like he's trying to play this global piece, yet he wants to stick his hand in American politics. Like, dude, stay on your side of the pond.
Seriously.
Well, this is going to go viral, and a lot of people are going to take me seriously, and all they're going to remember is that I told you that you couldn't put down the Dunkin' Donuts long enough to make an argument. Now, can you make one or not?
Oh, you know, this is schoolboy.
By the way,
tactic.
a real
It's
man
schoolboy.
doesn't speak down to a woman.
All right, chat.
There's their true colors.
Here it goes. Got to defend them. Got to defend them. Oh, maybe this will work. Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking, boys. Now we're talking.
I don't care what you think.
You're not a real man.
Is.
You're actually
I
very
don't care
feminine.
what
If
you
you
think
ask
a real
me,
man
you're
is.
a
Don't
very
care.
feminine man.
Yeah, nobody cares what you think real
just
men
like-
are.
You sound super feminine.
Mate.
I don't care
Is
what
it feminine to dye your hair with highlights?
I don't care what Vivek tells me an American is. I don't care what an atheist like James Lindsay tells me what scripture is. I don't care what a woman is going to tell me what manly masculinity is. We don't.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's just not going to happen. I don't care. Let me hit the play button, guys.
Yeah.
And how
Nobody cares what you think a real man is.
That you're such a big boy by slating, bringing in personal insults about women.
Dude, you can see that she's trying to hold that rage back so hard. She's trying to hold the rage back so hard.
She's accusing him of personal insults. I mean, yeah, he said she was fat, but she's like, you're an insecure man. You're insecure.
Rigovich, can you fix this over there? Is it fixable?
You start. Hey, I'm sorry.
Wow,
I'm sorry. You guys think that you're going to show people.
When you go out
into
the big wide world from behind your macho.
Well, one day when I go out in the big wide
there.
world, I hope people will take me as seriously as they do women who make zero arguments.
Wait, why are you on
a show
Piers
like
Morgan?
This?
Shouldn't you go be working right
Why
now,
are
making
you?
money for your
Why-
family to
I
support?
am
How do you have
working.
time to
Making
I'm
a
working?
They did the same thing to Myron the other day. Some chick came up to the mic and was like, "What do you do for a living?" It's like,
I'm here.
I'm
you
working.
idiot.
I'm literally working. Like, what do you think I do for a living? It's like, shouldn't you be working right now? he's literally working.
Wait, like, so you're not working being here? Silly goose?
If anybody asks a content creator in the middle of a debate on a TV show, on one of the largest TV shows there is, on the largest segments there is, aren't you working right now? You know they're stupid low IQ.
Look at the 90s curtain shirt, like the woman next to Pierre. Look at her face right now.
She's so smug, dude.
I don't
What
have
are you
kids.
talking about?
I don't have a husband.
You're
I'm
saying that
23
you
years
can't
old.
make
I'm not
money?
married with kids yet, but it
you
seems
can't
like
make
you should go
money
be working
podcasting?
right now to fulfill your
She's
gender role as a
23?
big, strong
I am
man.
working right now.
Oh, well, get to work.
Let me ask.
Dude, Andrew's facial expressions are so good.
Fulfill your gender role as a big, strong man.
I am working right now.
Oh, well, get to work.
Let me ask.
You're not being paid to be here.
Yes, lady. I'm going to get paid a lot of money ultimately to be here. You have no idea what you're talking about. If you saw my bank account, what I make doing stuff like this, it would make you weep.
Show us your bank account to make yourself feel more secure.
It would make you weep. Yeah, hey, the only thing you could think of was to try to assault my bank account, lady.
Assault?
That's it. That's the only thing you could think of. The only thing you could think of is you don't work enough. You don't work enough. It's ridiculous.
Let me play. I want to play Emily. I want to.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew, shocker here, boys, shocker.
We've been these past two shows. They've been some bangers.
Is there anything else on this piece other than that? I don't jump into one's first priority is to be a mother. Mother's bearing the brunt of the household chores. Feminism causes a drop in birth rates. The drop in birth rates is okay. Let me pull this up real quick. Let me pull this up and then we'll close this thing out. It's 5:01. I'm gonna let y'all go to Myron, whoever is going. Yeah, light work for Andrew for sure. Light work for Andrew.
Well, not light, but we get what you mean.
Let me see if I can pull this up and then we'll bounce.
Thanks for all the feedback, guys. We really, because we were banging out these shows for a few months, getting like no engagement. But we appreciate it. And, Rigovich, I think you said you stumbled onto us. Send us out there. We appreciate it.
Yeah. We do go live around 2:30 every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at a minimum. And then on top of that, it is kind of whenever we feel like it, kind of. So, hold on.
The American military doesn't accept.
Just want to throw this up here. This is kind of talking about the birth rates, but this was done with mice in a utopia. What's up?
I was checking to see if your battery was really at 16%.
Yeah, it is. I didn't charge it last night, boys. In 1968, researcher Calhoun built a mouse utopia with unlimited food and no predators. So this is what has happened essentially. This is what we see nowadays with the standard of living so high. This is basically what we have. Calhoun conducted a famous experiment known as Universe 25, in which he created a mouse utopia with unlimited food, water, and no predators. At first, the mouse population grew rapidly, but as overcrowding increased, the social behaviors began to deteriorate. Mice formed aggressive cliques, mothers neglected or attacked their offspring, and some individuals became isolated and apathetic. Despite the continued abundance of resources, reproduction eventually ceased altogether, and the population collapsed to extinction. Calhoun described this phenomenon as behavioral sink, suggesting that societal breakdown rather than material scarcity was responsible for the collapse. And this is exactly what we see today. For a civilization to collapse, it's not lack of resources, or it's not the upending of an economy. Those are a byproduct of the breakdown in society, right? And this is the conclusion that he came to, is that the societal breakdown, the rise of degeneracy, if we're mapping this back onto humans from mice, is the source of the initial breakdown, then everything else just kind of dominoes.
This is what I talk about with Ken all the time, is because, I'm more focused, like we are, on the social issues, so to speak. And he talks about the economy a lot. And I've tried to basically say to him, it's like, look, if you could snap your fingers and the economy was the greatest it's ever been, in a couple decades or even less, it would be right back to where we are. Because the problem with our economy is downstream from the real problem. There's no point in getting the water out of the boat when there's a hole in it. You have to plug the hole first. You have to put your own oxygen mask on before you worry about somebody else's.
That's exactly right. Gunnar Rigovich, thank y'all for stopping by. Who else is here today? Anthony Malarkey said he got some summer classes he's working on. Dude, don't go to school, man. Just go stream things. People pay you to stream, apparently. I haven't seen it, but we did get a super chat today. Appreciate that. Rigovich, thank you. Mike Ray, if you're still here, thank you.
Xanthony.
Xanthony.
Where's the other X? You said there were two X's.
Maybe there's not. Is it if you're still here, is it Xanthony or Anthony?
Because I think he's going for Xanax. Xanax. That's what I thought he was going for.
I think that's a reach.
Isn't Xanax spelled with an X?
Yeah.
That's what I think he's going for. It's like I've seen one Zanny McPhee as a username. Maybe his name is Anthony Bobkins, but
all right.
Regardless, I think it's wonderful. I love that.
Appreciate
name.
it, boys. What's it, Friday? At an absolute minimum, I'll be live solo or with a friend Wednesday. I might be able to get my dog guy in here. That'd be good.
And I guess I know, like, this crowd, it's the more millennial and Zoomer crowd, so I don't blame y'all. But if you're interested, go to live953.com. Listen to my show Saturday morning, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern time, the Joshua Vandernoor Show. That's live953.com, Joshua Vandernoor Show. All you have to do is press listen live. You can't listen to the recordings. You can only listen live. It is what it is.
Yeah. Saturday morning is what? 7 to 9. 7 to 9. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't blame you if you're asleep. I would be too.
Chat, is there another time that y'all would prefer streaming? I know there's a lot of conflict with, streaming against other people's time, but I might do some like solo chill stream shows in the evening or something. I mean, I didn't get to bed till like 2:00 last night from working, but generally, I mean, if I'm up, I might stream some.
Thank you, Rigovich.
Rigovich,
nice.
Yeah, I don't even know what time it is over there. What's it like it's got to be
so it would be
morning time.
Holy Lord.
Or stupid late. It's nighttime, whatever it is. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good time for us. We get pretty good engagement. We appreciate y'all for coming.
10 p.m.
10 p.m. Yeah, nighttime. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna add on another stream, just kind of more of a chill stream, nothing so fancy. Since we're getting engagement, kind of talk to chat, we can go over some things, maybe do some research topics, and maybe even some prep for the future shows. I am writing an article too. I'm working on writing an article, so
Ooh, yeah, we got some behind the scenes stuff I need to talk with you about later.
All right, chat. Thank y'all for stopping by today. This is Outside the Overton. We push the Overton window as far as we can. Most days.
Most days.
We're just doing what we can, man.
Adios.